agenda and all the stupid shit that's going on in the world right now. Let's just have some fun for a Friday night, and we're going to go live on YouTube right now. Hey, everybody on YouTube, we are back on a Friday night edition, the final Friday of the month, which means it's the SOR Paranormal Roundtable. I've had a lot of people asking me who's on tonight. This may be one of the best panels we've ever had. We have Rich Giordano from GoofOn. We got the UFO historian, William Pullin, who has his khaki pants on with the side pouches filled with Gatorade. Absolutely. And yes, he does have his Stan Smith 1976 tennis runners on as well. We got Alex Mistretta, who never wears a T-shirt while doing an interview on this show, and the man who hosts 585 podcasts in the paranormal realm, Bryan Bowden, is with us as well. We got a lot of opinion. We got a lot of great knowledge, a lot of great attitude, and we are going to have an absolute blast with all of you tonight. I want to give a shout out to everybody in our chat room. I know it's already filling up fast. Chris Mo, Kira, how you doing? Brett and Helena, thank you for coming on in. Game Vet, drive safe. I know you're on the road right now, trucking down the highway. Blow that horn for us if you don't mind. I know we won't hear it, but just do it because we love the sound, if you don't mind. Tammy, thank you for coming on in. Same as you, Steam Train Mark. Always appreciate you coming on in, and you made it early. And Vince is here. Nate Rudd, you were still fantastic the other night. People still talking about that Bigfoot show, man. Thank you so much. Troy, SR-71, were you the pilot or were you the navigator? Let's find that out, because that is one beautiful plane. Hi, Mala. Good to have you here. Millennium, Lord of Land. Always a pleasure. PDBR, Filth, you dirty bastard. How are you? Commonwealth Andrew, good morning to you all the way in London. Paradolia, thanks for coming in. The Jim Christie is here, everyone. The Jim Christie. SJ, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you. Thank you. Lufon, welcome as well. Hey, guys, and this is for our panel as well. We are having a major storm here outside SOR HQ right now. So if we get knocked off the air, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it back. About an hour and a half ago, there were hailstones the size of ice cubes falling, not in my area, but just a couple of miles away. So I know the trees in my yard are they're calm now. The wind seems to have stopped, but we were getting some really brutal gusts there for a while. And I don't know if this is going to continue. If it does, we may be knocked off the air, but don't panic. I will try and get us back on as quickly as possible. But if my power goes out, I will send a message out on Twitter telling everybody that I can't get back on. And to our panel tonight, this will be the emergency that if all of a sudden the power goes out and you guys lose me and you lose everything, Rich, if you can send out a quick message, on the Facebook, I would appreciate that, because I will immediately call you, okay, from my cell phone.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty much it. I've said my mouthpiece, and I'm done for the night. Thanks, guys. Everybody, appreciate that. Good night. We're done.
Have a good night, Dave. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
So,
yeah, that's where we are. We have Spookles the cat in the chat room. We have redheaded Lisa. Troy says that he was the cook on the SR-71. So he was behind the navigator. He was the cook. Hey, Pedro, thank you for coming on in. Let's have a fun night. I look forward to you enjoying your night with us. I hope you have a good drink with you, man, because we're going to have a lot of fun. Okay, guys, we're about 2 minutes away here. 2 minutes away. And, hey, Rich, how did that drone work? You didn't get to finish that story.
Well, it was very interesting because I didn't think about it. It has sensors on the front, the back, the bottom, the top. So when I tried moving forward, it wouldn't get closer to the computer. So it kept jerking. Now I'm off camera and I was trying to do like a Terminator type of deal, where it comes up to the computer real close. And then I move the camera around like it's looking at everybody. But I couldn't get closer, so I had to trick it. I had to go above the computer, let the sensor hit the wall in front of it further away, then jerk forward, go up, go down. It was a whole to-do, but I couldn't get close enough. But it looks cool as hell. It looks fake, but it looks real.
No, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, it was today was my first day flying it. It was an experience I'll never forget. It is so much fun.
All right. Hey, everybody, we got Cable Guy Matt in the house. You know what that means? That means you can get your free piece of coaxial cable, courtesy and autographed by Cable Guy Matt. Limit one per household. You cannot buy these in stores, people. You cannot buy these in stores. Make sure you hit up Cable Guy Matt for your free piece of coaxial cable today. All right. God, I love me some Cable Guy Matt. He actually came into my daytime office today, and he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, Cable Guy Matt. And everybody calls him Cable Guy Matt. And his wife is listening, too. So let's give a shout out to Cable Guy Matt's wife. I know her name, but I'm going to keep it secret for right now. Cable Guy Matt's wife. That's good enough. Here we go, everybody. We got the music on. We're going to have one hell of a show. The super chat is open. Our website has our store, the SOR Vault. Check that out. Join the Space Travelers for $5 a month. Let's have a great show, because this is what we do on a Friday night with the Roundtable. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show, and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Near the end of each month, I like to bring on some friends, hang out, debate, discuss the month that was in the paranormal and supernatural with the SOR Roundtable. And man, do we have a great panel for all of you tonight. Joining us is Rich Giordano from Goof on Radio. We have our resident UFO historian, William Pullin. Researcher, Alex Mistretta, who for some reason, every time he does this show, never has a t-shirt on. Never wears a shirt. I don't know why. It's just his thing. And the man who has about, just a hair under 1,000 paranormal podcasts out there, Bryan Bowden, joins us. Now, what's great about this group is they have all great opinions. They're very steadfast in their information, steadfast in their research. And tonight, we're going to get into some big-time stories about the month that was. Gentlemen, welcome to the Spaced Out Radio's Roundtable. I'm ready for this one. I'm ready. The gloves are off. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Alex, we're going to start with you right off the bat, because earlier this week, it broke in the United States that the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee, led by Marco Rubio, I believe he's a senator out of Florida, and pardon me if I got that wrong, wants unidentified aerial phenomena put into the intelligence budget and any type of information brought forward to the public. Now, on the surface, this seems like an absolutely huge piece of or a huge piece of story for the UFO community. What's your thoughts on this? I'm very curious, because we need to discuss this.
I think it's much to do about nothing, because ultimately, all the real good stuff, they're still not going to know about it. This is just going to be like, the B squad, the B sightings, all the stuff that they can explain away or debunk later, or it's not going to be, they don't even know about what the stuff's so compartmentalized that, I don't think this is going to be like, remember when the British government had the UFO desk with Nick Pope, right?
Yes.
So I like Nick a lot, right? But ultimately it was still a PR group, that just kind of dealt with some of the, lighthearted sightings and the real stuff's still not going to come out. Nothing's going to change.
Now, why do you think that? Why do you think that? And I agree with you that the good, juicy stuff, the Phoenix Lights, Roswell, everything like that, that's going to be still stuffed in the back pocket. But why do you think all of a sudden, Alex, there is this intrigue into UFOs?
Well, I think they were kind of forced into it, right? I mean, some info came out, people took interest. You know, it's a subject never really thought about. So all of a sudden, they were kind of forced to start looking into it. And some guys were like, hey, wait a minute, maybe there's something to this. The other side of that, too, is we're in this very conspiracy-driven paradigm right now, you know, with stuff that's going on in the United States, specifically politically, where conspiracy theories are more easier to believe by people because they get pushed so much. And that sort of, sadly, it shouldn't, but it does, kind of fits within that modality where people all of a sudden are interested in, you know, UFOs, conspiracies, and whatever. I think it's just the climate is right for people to be interested in it. I think unfortunately it stems from a lot of negative. I'm trying not to get political here, but look, we're in this anti-science crap. People that believe a bunch of stupid shit, you know. So, and in a lot of people's mind, this is in the same category, and I think these guys are just using it to kind of, you know, feed the system and get on the good side of, you know, some of their voters or people that follow them. Or, like I said, I think it's a lot of PR stuff.
Right. I can see that. We bring in our UFO historian, William Pullin. Do you agree with what Alex is saying, or do you think this is a big step forward into finally disclosing what is up?
I tend to agree with Alex. I mean, when Blue Book was active through the 50s and 60s, it was a PR operation. The best cases circumvented Blue Book, even though that was against policy of the Air Force. So this is more the same stuff. I mean, the juiciest cases, the ones that are maybe truly anomalous, that kind of information will not be available to political figures like senators or the president. It won't be. And as far as the reasoning why this is happening, I mean, certainly, and we've discussed at length why, or the fact that the UFO topic is being treated slightly more legitimately now by the media than, say, it was, 20 years ago. Which means, in a very roundabout way, politicians may be a little more comfortable broaching the subject as opposed to what they were, 20 years ago. I mean, what was his name? He was a senator running for office here. Dennis Kucinich mentioned he saw a UFO during a political debate. And his campaign went into the tank. I mean, they cost him any chance he had. Nowadays, that may not happen. The senator from Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar, discussed the UFO topic pretty openly. Did that take some courage? On some level, it did. But on another level, people are more comfortable talking about UFOs in the public eye now, a little more than they used to be. So maybe that may be part of the deal here. But as far as the actual information, I think it's much ado about nothing. I mean, it's interesting in and of itself, but I just still think that the juicier cases, the ones that are more robust, the ones that may be actually anomalous or potentially extraterrestrial, that information is not privy to any kind of to any civilians, including political figures. So I think it's much ado about nothing.
Bryan Bowden, bring you in on this topic because I tend to disagree a little bit. I think this is a very, very big first step. The fact that politicians now are wanting to throw a little bit of cash at this, taxpayers' money, to see how real this phenomena is. Will we ever get the truth? I don't know. However, Bryan, the fact that it's actually on the agenda, I think is a win for the UFO community.
Well, I've always stated straight up that disclosure has happened, and it happened in '77 with the release of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, even Hynek was in it. He was like, look, it's here. I mean, it was the greatest gift you could get. People don't want it, people want to have their hands held throughout the whole process. What's taking place now, I think, with Rubio is basically a second thought of like, what are these UAPs and how are they going to affect us on a military level? What's our national security risk? And it doesn't hurt that you had a a couple of people, Clinton was talking about it, about UAPs. I think Obama, they mentioned it to him. It was a buzz piece, but when the military starts coming out and showing you Tic Tac videos, we don't know what it is. We're watching this. It's to desensitize, but I agree with everybody else. The true disclosure, the true information will never be released. I would never release it. I get so much junk and crap from people because we live in a world that is filled with more enemies than friends, and we have to protect ourselves. So if I have technology that's 150 years ahead of everybody else, I'm not revealing that to anybody, and people should understand that. Most of this stuff that you're going to look for, you're not going to find. It'll be decades before something comes out. So I think it's interesting. It's making the news feeds, but in general, I mean, no. Nothing. I think it is a little bit more of a dog and pony show, a distraction from what's going on. It's just another soundbite to see if we can lead people in a different direction.
I can't be the only one who thinks this is great. Rich, I have a feeling you're going against me as well, going along with these guys here. I mean, don't forget, one guy doesn't even have a shirt on.
Yeah, and another guy doesn't have his pants on. Who's that? Oh, all right. So without repeating what everyone else said, I can tell you what I thought when I saw that article, and that was, yeah, right. So the reason I say that is because that's all it is. It's all about getting their name out there. They know they're not going to get anything. How do they not know they're not going to get anything? So, of course, it's a PR move. It's right around that time, people are going to start talking about other things instead of, what's been going on in the world. So, I don't know. I liked it, too. And then I said, okay, so we're still out there. We're still hitting a little bit of mainstream. Okay, maybe somebody will accidentally give him something on the arm, like, here, take this. You giving me this? Yeah, that's a real UFO. I could lose my life. Yeah, let the world know. Thank you. Have a great day. What if that happens? What if they give him something? You don't know. That's why it's great that it's happening. But nothing's going to happen.
I understand that. Okay. But here again, okay, we have this topic hitting the mainstream again. All right. The one thing I have always been highly critical of regarding the UFO topic was the way the mainstream media has covered this story. And to this date, I stand behind my words. I think they've done a very terrible job. They haven't told the stories. They haven't recognized anything outside of these 3 videos. But the fact that they are still covering it, they haven't dropped the story, William. That is impressive. They keep going back at it. Now, I would like to see them interview on a critical level. I'd like to see them interview somebody other than Nick Pope or Luis Elizondo or Chris Mellon for once, because there's a lot of brilliant people in this field who deserve to have some sort of mainstream say. But at this point, I'll take it as better than nothing. What's your thoughts?
And I agree with you. We've discussed it at length on multiple occasions that the media is approaching this a little more legitimately. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that they've dropped the ball on this topic for decades. They've never covered it in a very journalistic way. They haven't at all. It's very big, very tongue-in-cheek, if they even touch it at all. Now that the media is covering it in a legitimate light, at least a little better than they have been, and it was pretty easy to make any kind of improvement in that way. It makes it a little easier for political figures to discuss it openly, whereas before it was a hot potato. Unless your name was Barry Goldwater or Ronald Reagan or Jimmy Carter, if you mentioned the UFO topic, you paid a political price. It wasn't politically advantageous to discuss it. Now that's changed, and the media has a hand in that. They've changed the narrative. They've made it a little easier to discuss this openly. Will that lead to anything substantive? I'm blowing my words. Will it lead to anything that's concrete that we don't know yet? Most likely not. But it is a positive step. I mean, at least we're better off now than we were a few years ago as far as being able to discuss this openly. But the juicy information, the juicy evidence, the juicy data we would all like to examine openly, we're not going to see that at all. So again, we're still kind of at square one at this point. But I agree with you. The media is covering it better.
Rich, Nick Pope, and and I'll be honest with you. I mean, he's got like Brillo pad for hair. He does. Let's just be honest. Okay. Yeah. And I bet you he could scrub a frying pan like anything with that hair. I do. And I think it's fantastic. But anyways, I think that his point of that maybe the briefings that happened early last summer are a little bit scary to some of these senators who may have been extremely naive to this topic. Do you agree with that point, that maybe whatever the Navy told this group of Intelligence Committee senators maybe scared them a little bit to push for money for the UAP research?
That's interesting. No, I don't know, man. Nobody really knows. So you only have to go by what you think what would happen. Yeah, I guess you could say that they might have been a little scared by what they heard, because what do they know? They don't know. They're not doing this research to know any better. So that's a good possibility. Yeah, I could see them getting scared because of that.
Alex, do you think
there was
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say there was a clip that came out that was actually the most interesting out of all these things. I forget the Tic Tac videos and Nick Pope and whatever. There was a little bit of a clip, maybe 2 minutes, of Donald Trump Jr. interviewing Donald Trump Sr., asking about Roswell and aliens and whatever. And it was just a very interesting clip. I don't think it was really done to promote, UFOs, whatever, but it was a little bit vague. He's not going to be able to talk about much, but that was the most intriguing clip I've seen in a long, long time, because there was a little bit more validity there. The problem we have is there's really nobody you can go to as an authority on the news media that really has anything more to say than they already have. And you have all these other people that are associated with this field hooked up with like ancient aliens or whatever. It becomes like a little bit of a sideshow. And, you got George with the hair going and everybody's talking about angels and aliens. It doesn't lend credibility to it. But the problem is we have a ton of really great researchers out there that of course, if you have your own show, you're interviewing some of these people that are spot on the research, but they'll never see the light of day because they're not in have an agent or something. So this is where our problem is. We have to get these people that are a little bit more quiet, that less known, more stage time, I guess, because I think that would add validity to it. One of the guys is Tom Conwell. He's out of New York State. He's doing some research that's mind-blowing, correlations, and Tom is. He has electronic background in engineering, and he's spot on, but no one else knows about him, but people should.
Well, Dave, can I just say something? That Trump thing, to me, that was ridiculous. It gave no validity to anything that has to do with ufology, because he's talking about Roswell, but I think he's thinking of S4, Area 51. Right. Millions of people don't want to go to Roswell. They want to go to S4. That's where we were trying to get to. And I think he was confused, but they labeled it Roswell. It's a PR move. He wants to keep us, in the vote. Don't you think? All right, throw one out for these guys. Might get 1 million extra votes.
It's all about that.
Possibility.
Alex, I want to get your opinion on this.
I don't know.
And
I got a Madone out of that.
Well, okay. In terms, you asking me in terms that they were scared? You go back to that, or?
Yes.
I think some of them are terrified. I remember there was a report last year. I know Nick Redford did some research on that, where because there's so many senators, so many even people working in the Pentagon that have such a dated view of how the world works. I mean, in terms of like Satan and God and good and evil, it's like they're living 2,000 years ago. And, this new paradigm that has nothing to do with that, I think terrifies them. They're so non-progressive in terms of where the world's at. So I think that from that standpoint, I mean, we've seen it in politics, right? I mean, all these like creationists and all that and even, Mike Pence as a vice president doesn't believe in evolution, so for a lot of those guys, that stuff is scary because it's the future and they're scared. They're cowards. They're scared of the future. That's what, then they're hiding behind, religion and all that. But the other aspect of that is, who cares? This just gives us an opportunity that this subject now is out in the open and you can discuss it, with your friends and with producers or whoever you want to get interested in this. It gives us an opportunity to go out there and get our own disclosure. We're waiting, like everybody's waiting for disclosure, like there's some kind of messiah that's going to give it to us. Messiahs don't exist. We should, forget all that crap. Forget the government. Forget disclosure. Trump's the last person that's going to know about it. We should just go out and get our own. There's a million places around the world that have UFO activity. There's 1,000 cases, maybe a small percentage are true, that no one's ever heard about. There's so much proof and data out there, and no one's talking about that or trying to bring that to light. Everybody's just waiting for this like messiah to just give us everything, whether it's, TTSA or Trump or whoever. It's like, it's a waste of time. This whole thing's a waste of time. We should just use this and run with it.
So you're saying we're waiting for data. So where's the last 30 years of data? We've got all that. You think it's going to be any different the next 30 years? This is it. We've reached our peak. The next thing is disclosure. We haven't done anything. We haven't. Right. How many clear daylight footage do we have of a UFO? We don't have a single one yet. We could. Why couldn't we? When you go out there, it requires a lot of money and a lot of time. That's why we need a professional system. But I'm just hoping that this interest leads in that direction. I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but we need a bona fide professional system. MUFON has dropped the ball, right? They're useless at this point. They're antiquated. There's not enough funding for local chapters to go out and do the proper work. But the point is, interest. We need to bring this outside of the UFO community. Within the UFO community, we're useless. We're proving that we're incapable of proving anything. No, honestly, I worked at 13 years of MUFON. What did I do? Nothing. I just wrote down reports and sent them in. We can do so much more than that. And this gives us an opportunity to reach out beyond the UFO community to the world out there and hopefully get some interest, some funding, some money, and maybe move on to the next step.
Here's a big problem, right? So you have MUFON, who I think really, it was really chartered to do this work. And through publicity and their desires being designed directly on doing programming and movies and TV, they've lost their focus. And the real money is made by them selling privately to the Academy of the Stars or whoever wants to pay the highest price. So there's a little bit of a compromise in that organization. Another big factor is, look, I do research in New York State. I'm one of probably 1,000 people at research, UFO sightings and contacts and what have you. I share my information. 99% of the people don't. And until we all start putting aside the egos and we start sharing our facts, what we're seeing, the correlations, because this isn't just alien, folks. This goes beyond that. This gets into a different realm, in my opinion, almost like a unified theory. And we just need to start talking. We need to get that dialogue going. If you're doing something in California, I want to know about it. I'll tell you what I'm doing in New York. You never know when you're going to find something that rings a bell that I may not be aware of, and then boom, you have a lot more proof coming out. But until people start talking, it's not going to happen. And the Academy to the Stars crap, I mean, sorry, Blink 182, he's the Lee Harvey Oswald of the UFO community.
Wow.
It's the biggest patsy I've ever met in my life. And it's just a joke.
Say it ain't so.
I know people in I'm going to say it, and whatever, they can go kill me. I don't care. But I know people in the government. I know people that work in some of the other agencies, and I know how these people operate. I mean, I met a guy who looks like Santa Claus, and he's a knock for the CIA. He goes into companies and steals information. So you're going to tell me all those guys that work for these dark projects and these government agencies are going to telling you the truth?
Well,
I got a lot of beer. I got a bridge out my window, I'll sell you.
Hold that thought, gentlemen, because we're going to continue the UFO talk on the SOR Roundtable. Rich Giordano, William Pullin, Alex Mistretta, the Shirtless Wonder, and the man of 888 podcasts, Bryan Bowden. UFO talk on Spaced Out Radio continues after this. That's a little spicy first half hour there, guys. Good job.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Was that too much?
Well, the fact that it only took 3 minutes for you to say the word shit, Alex, I mean, that...
Sorry. I didn't even realize. Sorry about that.
You hit politics and shit after he said, don't shit.
Hey, he should. Great. You know, if he had a shirt on, he would be a lot more calm, man. But he's raging right now.
Vegas bookies went nuts.
He's on UFO roids. Ah!
That's why I don't wear a shirt. It gets hot in here, man, discussing this stuff.
2 fans on.
Oh.
I get a little passionate.
I will guarantee you right now, because, since the last time we did the roundtable and all kind of gathered, our good friend William Pollan fell in love with a with a spicy young lady named Venus. I will guarantee that right now William is wearing angel wings and playing a ukulele right now in front of a fireplace in San Antonio. Oh yeah.
How'd you know?
I could just tell.
Remote viewing, that's what it was.
I am totally remote viewing the situation right now. He's got his hat on backwards, his yellow tinted eyeglasses on, and he's writing lyrics right now.
I don't want to.
But seriously, the last 4 minutes of comments from everybody, I was just sitting back listening, and I'm in total agreement, because we have this data. Like Rich mentioned, we have all this data. We've had 30 years of data. We've had data for decades, and we've only gotten so far. It's not good enough. And then Alex mentions that we need to get outside the community to garner support and involve people that are more highly educated than what we have now, more highly qualified individuals. Spot on. And then Bryan mentions how MUFON has lost its way. They're not supporting the local chapters. Those last 3 comments are all spot on. Those are all common sense ideas that aren't embraced by the UFO community. And if they were, we'd be a lot farther along than we are now. But here we are.
MUFON had its chance though when Star Team started, and I know because I was one of the first guys on Star Team. And so we had to. I don't know if anybody else on here was on there. So we had to sign up and give MUFON our info, what we're willing to go, where we're willing to go, and the whole thing. And I was signed up for the globe, on the drop of a hat, I was willing to go anywhere on the planet, including I was on the scuba diving thing. I was on everything, right?
Yeah. And
the fact that I was willing to do that at a drop of a hat, they should have used. You think they would have used that, right? And there's not a whole lot of guys that are in a place or they're willing to do that. Not a single case came my way, not one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I know a ton of people at MUFON. I used to thought it was the cat's meow too, but of the 100% that are involved in MUFON, you're talking about a 1% group that actually want to do this work, and then the rest of them. I got to be honest, the rest of them are looking out for the paycheck. They're looking to get on Unsolved Mysteries or some TV program, or to make themselves some kind of para-celebrity. It's not about the research anymore. And
you know what? You know what, though? I do want. It's easy to bash MUFON. Okay, I do it. Everybody does it because there's a lot of flaws. I mean, you look at that one dude right now. Again, we got racist comments coming from another dude in MUFON. All right, and I'm not about to repeat what this moron said. All right, but
what'd he say? I was just waiting for you to say.
What did he say?
Well, just the fact that it was pretty callous, pretty callous, and I will say this: MUFON has a lot of problems that they need to cure. I think it's because of weak leadership, right from Jan Harzan on down, and I make no bones about that. All right. And Jan will not come on this show because he doesn't want to answer any tough questions. He wants all peace, love, and light. But, at some point, MUFON does have some very, very intelligent people on their board of directors, as well as people who are investigators. And it's too bad that those people have to, have their own names tarnished because of the actions of a very loud few. And that starts with the lack of leadership right at the top, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
Absolutely. 100%.
I know a couple people. I know a couple of females that were on STAR team, and they've been, harassed in different capacities that way. There's a lot of, and I'm not a politically correct kind of guy, but there's a lot of disrespect for the genders and for people of races and colors, and you can't conduct proper research if you do that.
No,
you can't. Because you know what, you could go out in the field and you have a couple of people like
right,
if you've got a racist that's going out.
Here we go. Sorry, I got to cut that off. All right, gentlemen, here we go. Second half hour coming up. Super Chat is open. Do a little shopping at our SOR Vault on our website. Make things happen. Here we go. Hey, Devin, how you doing? Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a great roundtable discussion going on about UFOs, especially after earlier this week it was found that Marco Rubio, the senator for Florida in the United States, wants to bring the Intelligence Committee to have funding for UFOs. And we've got into a very, very serious discussion about this. We're going to continue it with our panel. We have Alex Mistretta, who's a researcher out of California. He does not own a single T-shirt. I don't know why. He just doesn't. Bryan Bowden from the... I can't even name his 386,000 podcasts that he does. And we have from Goof On Radio, Rich Giordano. And UFO historian who always wears beige khaki slacks, William Pullin. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Now, right before the break, we were talking about the fear that maybe some of these senators had in regards to this. And William, you're somebody who is a historian. You love Roswell. You go to Roswell every single year trying to research and study exactly every piece of information that you can find on this. As a historian, when it comes to UFO crashes and encounters that are out there, what are we missing with this bill? Is this a good thing that Rubio is bringing this up?
I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's a good thing in and of itself that, the topic's being broached, discussed openly in public. Political figures are more comfortable. They feel like they're not going to pay a price. It's not politically. You could view it. It's in today's environment. It's almost politically advantageous to discuss it. It's gotten to that point. But again, is the best evidence and data going to be available for them to look at? Most likely not. It won't be. So it's a step in the right direction, but it's not where we want to go. Not by a long shot. I mean, it's not. I guess the best way to look at it, it's not a negative thing. It's a step in the right direction. But I mean, there's so many more steps to go to get where we want to go. We want to get to a point where we can all examine all the data, all the evidence that civilian organizations, the military, the government, everything that's out there. We should be able to all examine it openly and come to some sort of consensus about it.
But does that
may be more?
But does that not come with transparency, William? And the reason why I say that is we know there have been many secrets hidden by the United States military over the decades. Let's go back to Roswell.
Yeah.
Okay, or even Washington State, previous to Roswell. Okay, at what point do we have to start pressing for the history about this? Because everybody's acting, including the mainstream media, like this is some sort of new phenomena when it's not.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that goes to a point of the media didn't cover this in a legitimate way for decades. So they see this as a new deal. If they've been covering it the way they should have been covering it, they would have been much more aware of what's been going on, what's been reported, what's being hidden from us, and gone in that direction. But they treat it like it's a new present to open up. I mean, it's not. It's been around for decades. So historically, when you examine data, when you examine a sighting, when you examine alleged documentation or the story comes out, it usually pays to be cautious. It's not logical to throw caution to the wind. It isn't. It pays to examine these cautiously, slowly, patiently, let all the information come out, and then make up your mind about what may or may not be going on. That makes sense. But like everything else in the field, when a story comes out, everyone takes up positions. They're either against it or for it. They make up their minds very quickly before all the information is out. And so they're either making uninformed decisions and taking up uninformed positions, or they're not patient enough to let the entire story come out and also examine the why, which is usually not asked. Why is this information coming out? Why are senators more comfortable nowadays? What circumstances have transpired to get us here where we're at? Regardless of how far it gets us, how did we get here? That's important too, and that's usually not discussed by most people in the community. So, but overall, it's a good thing, but it's just a small step, is all it is.
But that's what it comes down to, Alex, is the fact that we talked about a little bit earlier about that maybe some of these senators were a little freaked out by what they heard because they've always downplayed the subject as being science fiction. But now that it's here, now that it's real, now that they're figuring out, do you think that now we as the public need some answers for what not just is current, but the past as well? Phoenix Lights. There's another classic one. I mean, Rich is very passionate about that, and Rich will get your opinion on that in a minute. But Alex, I'm curious what you think.
I have mixed feelings about it. On one hand, I think we need answers. We deserve answers because this concerns everybody on the globe, right? This is about an entire planet. It's the most important subject on the planet, period. It really is. But on the other hand, I understand the national security aspect to it. And some things should absolutely 100% stay secret for our national security. But here's the thing, if you really break it down, you're talking about something that's violating our airspace, something that can come in and out, don't care about borders, come into an atmosphere, land, take off, do whatever they want, and there's nothing our government, anybody can do about it because we don't have the technology. How do you go publicly as a president or an administration and admit that there's a power out there and if this was China or Russia, it would be an act of war. That there's this power out there that can do whatever they want, and there's absolutely nothing that we can do about it from a technological standpoint. How do you go and admit that? I mean, how far do you take that concept? How much truth are you going to let out? I think that's what really scares them, and it should.
Well, let me ask you, I want to ask you a follow-up before we move on, Alex. Do you think that the United States government knows that it's not Russia or China or any type of human technology?
I think some of them do. Probably not to people the senators are asking, but people kind of, above all that. And not just Americans. I mean, we're talking about the military-industrial complex, right? They're the ones that are going to be in the know because this is about power. This is about money. It concerns, oil. Everything comes into play when you're talking about this level of technology. So, but who really is in the know? I don't think the president is. I don't think the vice president is. I don't think everybody at the Pentagon is. They may know something's going on, obviously, because they've seen it and it's kind of coming out. But ultimately, they're asking the questions to the people that don't really know the full answer. And that's why it's happening, because it's safe.
Yeah.
They should be asking naval intelligence. That is the ultimate as far as the Black Ops project group. They know everything. They've been the first in everything. And no one ever looks at them, but they know the deal. They know what's going on.
I agree.
I don't think they do. No, I don't think they do, and I'll tell you why. Nobody else since then has seen or videotaped a Tic Tac. There's none on video other than what they showed, and I don't think any of those three videos show us UFOs of alien technology. I personally believe it's just regular stuff, but they don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I think and I don't like that they're calling it a threat just because they can fly faster. That's not a threat. That's just they're faster. I understand why, because we pay them to protect us and all that stuff. And if they can't catch them, they can kill us. So I understand that thought. But until there's an actual threat where they take down a jet or fly over a city or do something that looks like a threat, I think we need to to look into it, of course, but I don't think they know how. I don't think they have a way.
I mean, I think when you're looking at talking about actual threats, I think there have been, but it's been so, pushed to the side so the public will never find out. I think we have had situations where things were done. I mean, hey, if all our nuclear reactors and our missile bases are going offline, that's a threat.
But they turned them back on. They didn't let any.
Of course. No. I know that, but it's still, when you go to someone's house, you don't just pull a gun on them and say, "Oh, I was only kidding," and put it in your pocket. I mean, that can be taken as an actual threat. So I hear what you're saying, but I think people do know, and I think the ones that are really, really quiet, that are just showing you little bits and pieces, I think they know a lot more than they're talking about. And I also think the technology, I think we do have some reverse engineered technology that people are mistaking for alien or not from humans. Yeah. I think the Russians have it, and I think the Chinese definitely have it. I think they're working on a lot of this stuff. You should see some of the patents going in for engines that are magnetic engineering, and just basically the stuff for the TR-3B alone. There are little patents that have been coming out, and people have been digging them up. Very interesting stuff. Highly, advanced technology.
But that stuff's been coming out for 30 years like that. We've known about magnetic technology and little pieces here and there. And why do UFOs crash land that we have to find them in all different continents? To me, nothing makes sense. Why? They can fly all around, and all of a sudden they get Earth's gravity. It's too tough, and they crash. I don't get it.
No, I don't think it's I got to be honest. It's not a gravitational thing.
Yeah,
I think
know.
We have
I'm just saying.
No. I'm just saying because you got to think about these things. How come how do you get hit by lightning if you have this kind of technology? But things do happen. The chaos theory does play. But also, I think we have places on this planet that have, which we'll call them ley lines or vortexes or whatever you want to call it. There are anomalies here that do affect things that are outside of their control. And I think it's a lucky break. It's like hitting the Mega Millions.
Well, those vortexes are because of the Earth's magnetic field, the spinning of the Earth, the core. It's creating whirlwinds like tornadoes of energy, and that's all. It's not transporting people anywhere where no aliens are coming through. Because I've looked for them and I can't find them. And that's why I want to see it. I want to believe it. I just need to see it.
Right, and I appreciate that, but I think what you're going to see now with the advances in quantitative physics, that quantum theories, you're going to see things that are going to blow your mind. There are things that are present that you may think just come just from the Earth, but may have connections to the way the whole galaxy is made up from dark matter. I mean, it gets really complex, and there's a lot of hypothesis, but there's some great advancements coming right now, and it's amazing. And unfortunately, we're not at the forefront of this. There's other countries that are, like Russia. There's scientists that are really heavily into this stuff.
No, I understand.
And they're
that.
looking at it a different angle,
Bryan, I'm going to cut you off there because I want to hear from the other guys as well, and I want to get a point in as well. And I realize that when you have 662 podcasts out there, you're used to talk. I can't even hold a straight face when I talk like that. But anyways, I agree 100% with Rich. Okay, that I do not believe that there is a threat at all. I think it's using the word threat is an easy way to put the Senate and the House of Congress in the United States in a little bit of a panic to push money towards research. I believe that the U.S. intelligence agency is strong enough and capable enough to know what China and Russia are up to, especially the fact that they are already in cahoots with Russia, have been for the last 20 years with the space program. All right? That's just obvious. And I don't think for a second that the extraterrestrials who've been coming here for decades, William, I'm going to get you in on this, suck you in on this one. Okay, I don't think for a second that we would be waiting, if I was an alien, for the little humans to become nuclear or above that before taking over this planet. If I'm an alien, if I have the technology to get here from the outer reaches of space, I'm pretty sure if I'm going to take over a planet, I'm going to get that planet before they advance. And muskets are still the number one weapon across the planet.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Whether they are traveling from another star or from another universe or another dimension, the data suggests strongly that they're far more advanced than we are. So could we hold up against them in a military confrontation? Most likely not. Having said that, there's no real data to suggest they're a threat. They're a potential threat. UFOs have shown the ability to, again, render our military apparatus turning our missiles off, things like that going on. That's a potential threat. But a real threat is has there ever been a UFO, an alien spacecraft interacting with military apparatus where a large number of military planes were destroyed? We don't have that. Now, of course, there's always the possibility that some interactions like that have occurred and that the information has been hidden from us at some level. That's possible. We don't know that, though. We don't know that for sure. It may not have happened. So we kind of have to hedge our bets a little bit, But, and as we evolve technologically, does it make sense that they wouldn't? No, it doesn't. It's logical that if you have two different societies and there are different levels of the technology, different levels of advancement, would the lesser technology, would the lesser civilization advance and the other one wouldn't? No, I'm sure they're advancing like we are. So if we're 10,000 years behind them technologically, say 1947, now that we're in 2020, we're probably still that same amount of time behind them. So we may never catch up. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling, Dave. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Rich.
I was muted. Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
You're okay with the whole threat phenomena. Do you think that's just a way to get money out of the taxpayers and the government?
I agree 1,000%. Put the fear in them. They'll give you money for anything. I swear that's what they're doing. Because nobody knows. I don't know how they would know, but let's say the threat is real. But what are they waiting for? I mean, it doesn't get any worse than the situation we're in now. Nobody can think straight. The world's a mess. It would be perfect, unless that's how they start the beginning of the end. Throw us into chaos. Maybe this is all an experiment from them controlling us. Oh, that sounds crazy. But people do believe that's actually happening. So I threw it out there.
Yeah.
Because what if it is? What if it is? You have to imagine what if. A lot of those things fill in the blanks. It makes sense, like the timeline of events and things over the decades. Wow, that's amazing. They put that in a movie in 1977, and that really happened, but nobody really knows. But we'll put it in a movie, see how people react. Then Independence Day comes out about 20 years later. Oh, let's see how they react to this one. Then, in between they had E.T., I know, I get it. But I'm talking like, take over the world scenario or world-changing things. E.T. was personal. Wasn't it? But anyway, it is an amazing thing to think. Then Transformers. Oh, my God, what if robots took over the Earth? That'd be amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're leaking stuff out. I think that they're scaring people. Let's do the research, because if we don't, we won't know. Come on, don't you care about man, woman, child? Got to throw everybody in nowadays. So humanity, give me the money. We'll do it. We'll take care of everything. That's what it is, Dave.
Alex, tax grab for UFOs?
100%. Absolutely. 100% fear works. It makes you open up your paycheck, your checkbook. On the other hand, doesn't mean that there isn't a threat. It's not mutually exclusive. There's some data out there, and it hasn't been well vetted. Granted, some of the stuff happening in Brazil in the 1970s, that it seems to be a violent component to the UFO phenomena. So I think threat's a possibility, but in this instance, absolutely, it's to get money.
Mm-hmm. Is that the way to go about it, though, Alex? Is it about scaring people?
It shouldn't be, no. But, fear disrupts, cognitive processes, and it makes people do what you want, or it backs them up in a corner, and, you can kind of control them a little bit better. So it works. It's always worked. The government's always worked on fear, fear of what's going to happen if you don't pay your taxes, fear of the communists are going to take over, or whatever. They've always used fear. It's like, it's their method, so it works. Should it be that way? No, but that's a whole other issue, I think, it's a whole other social issue.
Bryan, how do you think that, if this gets passed, this is going to be 180 days worth of study and discussions. And if this actually makes it, how do you think other politicians or even citizens are going to react to their taxpayers' dollars going after unidentified aerial phenomena?
I think people are so distracted right now globally, doesn't matter what country you're in, that they're not even going to notice it. That's the bottom line. They're not even this is a money grab, and they don't even realize it. And this is just going to be tacked on to they'll sell it by telling you it's we'll give you, everybody's going to get $2,000 back, or they'll give you something, or you'll think you're getting something, but the information, if they really find what they're looking for, will never become public. It's way too much security-related information that we can't reveal at this point. There's a lot of tension going on globally the U.S. and China alone. There's a huge amount of everybody against China right now has a huge tension, and this is something that we don't want to have revealed to too many people. It'll be a backdoor closed meeting, like some of those agreements that they've made with like partnerships between the Trans-Pacific or whatever, and then 10 years from now, we'll find out that somehow they sold our souls to Zorg or some other alien race or something like that.
But here's the thing, though, guys, and we can continue this into the next hours. We only got about 3 minutes. And Bryan, we'll start with you on this one. The UFO topic is something that affects everybody on this planet. It doesn't matter your race, your creed, your color, your sexual orientation, your religion, your political stance, whether it's a Western civilization comparatively to a Middle Eastern civilization. It doesn't matter. Every person, every animal and mammal on this planet is affected by this decision. And I don't know, Bryan, if there is that much hate in this world to really, really, keep this subject down between countries. I mean, the little stuff that they throw in front of the media, of course that's going to happen. That's like secondary. But when it comes to something that is that life altering, like extraterrestrials, if they're out there, if they've been here, and if they're coming, I don't know if there isn't some sort of one world agenda to be prepared for that.
Yeah, I don't think it's really hate as far as the people. I think there's tension between governments. As far as people are concerned, I agree with you wholeheartedly. People are very interested in this. This is like it's. Someone mentioned the Messiah before, giving you disclosure. This is like a messianic type of problem. The potential for these advanced beings to actually help us out in the sciences and health and everything is so great that I'm looking forward to it. I want to know this information, but we don't. Unfortunately, we as people don't control what is disseminated. It's these old people that, it's like every school district has all these like 50, 60-year-old people have never been in a classroom, but they're going to dictate to you how your classroom should run. It's the same thing. When you throw religion in, people are fearing God and they're like, nope, Jesus is it, or whoever it is that they worship. No, I can't go against it. You're never going to get this. It's unless we all unite together and say, look, we want answers now. If there's something out there we want to know, because this could stop all this stuff that's going on here and make it a better place. I'd love a better place.
Rich, you got 20 seconds.
Oh, I couldn't disagree with the statement more, Dave. I don't think if you don't pay attention to this, it doesn't impact your life. I'll give an example. If I didn't watch anything in baseball and the Yankees won the World Series and somebody said, "Did you see the World Series? It was amazing. They won." And the last play I said, didn't see it. Didn't even know about it. Didn't affect me. Same principle I'm using here, but I know we're out of time, so.
I hear you there. Gentlemen, I want you to sit tight as we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. 1 hour down, 2 hours to go on the SOR Paranormal Roundtable. We got a great crew tonight with Alex Mistretta, Ancient Aliens type researcher, never wears a shirt, doesn't own one. It's amazing. The man of 4,000 podcast voices, Bryan Bowden from Goof On Radio, Rich Giordano, and the man whose khaki slacks are always pressed, UFO historian William Pullin. We'll be back with hour 2 of the Roundtable coming up after this. Okay, guys, I'm just going to run my dogs outside. You guys just chat away, and don't forget that we are live on YouTube.
I'll be right back.
No problem. I'm going to get rid of some of my podcasts. I swear to God, we have Inside the Goblin Universe, and I do Nobo Boomy or Nobody But Me. But we'll take the 4,000 podcasts. Oh, man. It's just, this is such a tough subject because so many different, there's a lot of egos in this UFO field. And way too many of them.
Oh, a ton of them. Yeah.
And you know what? It just, it's everybody wants to be some kind of star or something like that. It's like, it's not about star. For me, it's always been about, I want answers, Yeah,
that should be the focus, and that has gotten us to the point where we're at now, where no one shares info.
Right.
And I mean, I've discussed this with people in and out of MUFON, and I always ask them, I said, if you just eliminate the egos, does it make any logical sense to not share data? Right. Any logical sense to not share data?
Right.
And no one can explain that. Exactly. It makes no sense whatsoever to not share everything you have. But somehow that's not embraced. Yeah.
But it does, because it's about money too.
Right.
MUFON had a couple. What they had Hanger, whatever it was on, or a couple of these other shows. We're talking millions of dollars. In a day and an age where people right now, we have a ton of unemployment and this craziness. Every penny counts. And the problem is, if you add too much money to it, then you create the corruption. So it's like where's that delicate balance? That's why I've been finding all these different databases. People, independent guys are collecting, and they have these databases that they're allowing to be, scrubbed. You can go grab some information, and I'm trying to make one massive database. But the problem is, if I do that, I know I'm going to be, they're going to knock me down, or they're going to try to shut it down because I'm stealing from their breadbasket. But I don't want to steal. I just want information. Because I'm in the New York State area, right? So we started a group, New York State UFO Project, and we'll go any place in the state, actually the tri-state area there, because we want answers, but two, we also created these meetings where people that are having these experiences, and we have a lot of them.
That's awesome.
They're scared out of their minds. Death, fear. So they come there and they listen to other people tell their stories, and then over time they come out, and some of the things that are taking place, mind-blowing.
Wait, you're setting up meetings like at libraries, town halls, or things like that? I love that. Good. How long you been doing that?
We've been doing it for about a year and a half now.
That's what I want to do.
You're more than welcome. You know what we'd love
in Arizona, but.
Well, I'd love to be in Arizona at this point. I was supposed to go there, and then I met my wife. But I should have been there in a lawn chair. But the thing is, what we do is we do one in like the lower part of the state in New York City. It's in Yonkers. It's at the Yonkers Will Library. We do it the first Thursday of every month, and then we on the back end, the third Thursday of every month, we go up to a town called Red Hook, which is up where FDR had his place and Marist College is. And there was a little coffee shop there, and we were getting people from all over. But the problem we had in that meeting is you get these people that get into these UFO camps, right? So I listen to everything. I was trained in science. I'm not a scientist, but I was thinking about becoming an astrophysicist, and then I realized you can't make money. It's like, what am I going to do with this crap? But what we do is we had people coming in from Pine Bush, and they had their own little group meetings every month. And then we had the Dr. Stephen Greer people, or as I like to call it, the cult of Greer.
Yeah.
Okay. Greer is a very interesting guy. And, what rubs me the wrong way about him is, how does somebody who is just a doctor, a nobody, start giving briefings to presidents? There's something fishy there.
I
Well,
agree.
he tells his story. I forget. I'll find it. Okay, I know. I just watched. Yeah, how he got into it.
Yeah, it's like if you want to talk about people that go into groups and infiltrate and try to steer the direction in a certain direction, I think he's all about money. I try to get him on my program, and they sent me literally a 10-page document with questions, how much he's going to pay.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
and I'm
I got that too.
I don't get paid.
Oh my God!
He's the only guy he's the only guy I ever rescinded an interview request with.
What a heel! Good for you, Dave.
And then he takes credit for the CE5 protocols. I'm like, buddy, they've been out long before you. But what's good about the CE5 is, and we do it. We conduct them. We did one 2 years ago in Pine Bush. We had over 100 people there. I was tired for the full day. We actually got a craft to come in. Blew my mind because it's a 50-50 shot. You're going to get some kind of lights or whatever. Yeah. Huge craft. It was insane. And we're going to do it this year in September. But the whole thing is, it's like what people are missing out is it's not about alien technology, and it's not about these crazy military stuff. People can do this. People can get the information themselves. You have something called a third eye. You have to. It gets really complex, but it's about getting your vibrations going the right way, thinking the right way, meditation. That's what these beings are about. These beings aren't about really warring.
Isn't that what Greer says?
It's kind of what Greer says.
Exactly
I never really,
what he says.
Well, yeah, he's trying to do, make money off this claim.
Yeah, true.
All right, guys.
This is the teaching of the ages. Sorry, I'll shut up with my podcast.
We got about 12 seconds here. 12 seconds. And, oh, man.
But it's awesome.
No, that's great discussion. Great discussion, and thank you for that. Here we go, guys. Let me just go like this, and music is on. Davin, an Australian living in Vietnam. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate
Follow
that.
Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio.
Here we go.
And on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Appreciate you all tuning on in with us. We do love having all of you comment on our social media about how you enjoy the show. Thank you so much for paying attention to us. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across the continent and on the digital side on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. I think it's, I can't see if that's a K or an X. It's an X. Zenurine. Zenurine is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We have a great panel tonight for the SOR Roundtable that happens near the end of each month, where I bring in some friends to discuss and debate the month that was in the weird, strange, and paranormal supernatural world. We have UFO historian William Pullin, researcher Alex Mistretta, podcaster, he's got like 900 of them. It's Bryan Bowden. And from Goof On Radio Stream on YouTube, we have Rich Giordano. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. We're going to kick off the next topic. As the last hour, we really spent heavily on UFOs. And we started talking about a little bit of the political side here with the Intelligence Committee in the United States wanting funding for this. So my question, getting off a little bit of the UFO topic and the political topic, but looking where the money is going. And Bryan, I want to start with you on this one, because I have a feeling, just a feeling, that tonight's going to be a good night. No, I'm kidding. No Black Eyed Peas here tonight. But nonetheless, my feeling on this is a lot of this money is going to be out in the open for Black Ops projects like the Secret Space Program. And if you're a believer in the Secret Space Program, and already I'm feeling Alex rolling his eyes as we speak, I don't know why, but I am. But if we believe there is a secret space program out there, Bryan, could this be what the Space Force came across for? And now the idea of UFO threats, all while we're trying to get Elon Musk to get us to the moon? What's your thoughts, Bryan?
Oh, definitely, 100%. I think Space Force. I think once the current seated president knew about what technology we have and what we were capable of, and that's not even the best of the best. He said, "Let's do this." He had very much the vision of Kennedy. We choose to go to the moon and that type of stuff. And this is totally going to be used for black projects, 100%. And there'll be a ton of money towards Space Force, but it'll be dripping out left and right to all these other black projects that are actually doing the research, and we'll just use for the military-industrial complex.
I expected you to go deeper into that, but you didn't. You disappointed me there.
How deep do you want to go? Because I mean, we have different projects that relate not only to UFOs but to other harnessing energy, creating. Of course, everything we do happens to be weaponry based. It has to be able to be used as a weapon someplace. So I mean, we there's the possibility that we're able to manipulate weather. Which may have been seen last summer when that Category 5 went from a Category 5 to a Category 1 in like an hour. And that never happens. Something happened. There was a big if you looked at the radar screens and some of the other anomalies where they study the weather patterns, there was a streak of energy that looked like it went through, cycled through. These are black projects that are used to create missiles and war and what have you. And it may be, I thoroughly believe we're, back engineering some of the old technology that we've captured from all over the planet. We were the first ones to go grab everything. So yeah, it's a dark, deep, project, and it's never ending. And everybody's in a different compartment. No one knows what A or B is doing.
All right, Alex, I know you're burning up. I could feel it. I can totally feel it.
Oh, I am. I'm taking. If I had a shirt, I would be taking it off right now.
Oh, you can't. You've already got the shirt off, man. You've already got it off. But seriously, do you believe that some of this money, that if this gets passed, is going to be the funding for maybe black projects and secret space program type stuff that we've heard all about? We've heard the rumors, and maybe it's now time for some of that confirmation.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's what else would it be used for? It seems like Space Force is a military thing, right? It's not about advancing, the human spirit or about science, or it's about, it's about shooting mofo's out in space in the name of God, So that's what, black projects are for.
All right.
Let me throw something out there.
Oh, you throw it, Goofon. You throw it.
So this is what's happening. TTSA, for example, my opinion, I don't know the facts, but this is what it looks like to me. They're like the mob. In the front door goes the meat, out the back door goes the fur coats. I don't understand what they're doing. I'm confused. They're not going to study UFOs, but they're talking about UFOs, just government UFOs. So we have to believe everything they say. See, they're trying to force us through their narrative. And all the money that they got went to TV shows and Tom DeLonge and who knows what. And, I can't wait for Unidentified to come out. I can't wait to see what their money went to. It's going to be beautiful.
No, I get
Season
that.
2.
But Rich, I mean, you're as skeptical as anybody in this field. And I'm not sure where you stand on the secret space program and whether or not we are actively pursuing it or have hypersonic type craft that can fly at all altitudes, at all reaches of this planet. Okay. But do you think that maybe, just maybe, that this is the start of some of those hidden projects that maybe have been buried in places like Area 51 are going to come out?
No, I don't think. And even if they did, they're going to be 50, 60 years old. So it's like, who cares? I want to know what happened yesterday. I want to know what's happening now. So don't tell me what you did. Tell me what you're doing and tell me where you're going so I can follow along. But they don't do that. And that's why it's never going to happen. It's not going to open up any doors. We've been trying to open up these doors and everybody gets slammed shut. It happens all the time. Yes, there's evidence out there. That's that stuff that you have to say, all right, everything's got to be perfect for this to be real, instead of it just looking at it and saying, yeah, that's definitely real. There's always some loophole. There's always something wrong with the document, or it wasn't signed properly, or the date's off, or it's something that always there's. And I think they try to do that on purpose. I know they don't want us to know the truth. That's why I'm saying, yeah, they can do whatever they want. They may get something that may be black and white, but they really don't know. So what do you do with a bunch of lies and half truths and some truths? You just got to throw it in the blender and whatever sticks, sticks. And that's what we've done with Roswell. And yeah, what?
Aren't those programs already been in place, though? I mean, in terms of looking at the next stealth technology, and even in terms of reverse engineering potential alien technology since 1947, that whole program's been in place for decades, probably. Yeah. I don't think Space Force is that program. That's like, again, it's the kind of like the PR, the military program that appeals to a certain part of the population, and it helps with your reelection and all that. But that actual program, and I'm not talking about the secret space program that Corey Good and all the crazy people talk about, because that's fantasy. But if, let's say, theoretically something did crash in 1947 in Roswell, which I think it did, I think the evidence is pretty good. They've had all this time to develop this secret space program. They haven't been sitting on it and doing nothing. And, it's not something that's created in 2020 that's going to involve that. It's already been in play for decades. I don't really understand what Space Force is for, to be honest.
So it's just I think, I don't know if it's PR, but I think it's for the stuff that is public that they have to show us because people with telescopes can see it. I think that's what they're doing, that's why. And I get it. And I get the satellite threat aspect of it from Russia or China. I understand that, and that's going to come into as technology increases and the world evolves. That's going to become more and more of an issue. We're going to be going up there. China's getting more satellite, Russia, and there's a lot of agendas, and I get that part of it. But in relation to in relation to the UFO phenomena, I think it's a completely different project. I don't think the Space Force has anything to do whatsoever with the UFO phenomena. I really don't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, all right.
I agree, Dave.
Oh, isn't that nice? We're going to shift topics. Sticking in space here. Earlier this month, I had a researcher out of the United Kingdom named Marcus Allen, who provided some very highly critical analysis on why he does not believe that the Apollo missions went to the moon. Now, I'm on record as saying I do believe they happened. Okay, I do believe that mankind has been to the moon, and I am very, very excited about the idea that in my lifetime, we're actually potentially going to be able to see it happen again, because I want to see it. I remember when the first shuttle took off with Columbia. That was exciting times for me as a kid when I was 7 years old. I remember the heartbreak of Challenger when it exploded, and then eventually Columbia. All right. I mean, I remember this. There's something about space that makes us all dream that we can be a little bit better and a little bit more profound in our lives. It doesn't matter what the age is. Now, that being said, Mr. Allen, and you may not agree with his opinions. I didn't agree with it. But what he does is he makes you think with facts that he has been able to find. All right. And if you haven't listened to that show, I highly suggest you go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/spacedoutradio, regarding that episode, which was back on June 16th. So my question is, William, we'll start with you. Did we go to the moon? And if so, why? How?
Yes, we went. Yeah, it wasn't in the name of science. It was a political race between the Soviets and ourselves, here in the States, anyway. Yes, we went. The vast majority of the data supports that. How did we get there? Through human ingenuity. I mean, do I know alien technology has been reverse engineered? No, I don't. Do I think it has? No, I don't. I think it's too far advanced for us to work on. I think a lot of advanced military projects are the result of highly intelligent, highly qualified human beings arriving at these, developing these technologies. I don't think we need aliens to develop hypersonic aircraft. I don't think we do. I think we have scientists that are highly qualified, I think highly credentialed. They're very smart individuals on all sides of the planet, whether it be Russian, Chinese, or otherwise. I think that was simply perhaps the greatest human achievement in history, going to the moon. Even though it was for political reasons, the technology behind it, the fact that we were able to come together as a country and get that done, speaks volumes about what humans can do if they put their mind to it. So I don't buy the whole scenario of us not going to the moon. I put that in the same basket with flat Earth and Elvis is alive. No.
And like I said, I agree with you on that. But, I think, Alex, in 20th century thinking or 21st century thinking, when we hold up a cell phone and then we learn that what is sitting in our hands with that cell phone had more technology on it than the entire Apollo rocket and capsule, I think that's where a lot of times we get confused on whether or not it actually happened, especially with the younger generations. Now, I could be wrong about that, but that's just my opinion. What is your opinion about the technology side, which happens to be a very large portion of the argument regarding this?
Well, I mean, I'm going to disappoint you, but I can't comment on it because I'm not an engineer. And whatever I'm going to say, and that's what a lot of people that are against us going to the moon and think it's a hoax aren't engineers either, so they don't know. So I can't tell you. What I can tell you though is that if we didn't go to the moon, China and the Soviets would know about it, and they would be licking at their chops to tell everybody how the United States never went to the moon. But not once. Have you ever heard anything coming out of China or Soviets about us or Russia about us not going to the moon? Not a single time. And they would love to bring us back down to earth, so to speak, And now how many people were involved in the space in going to the moon? 100,000 maybe altogether?
Yeah.
From all,
yeah.
Right?
Like that.
How do you keep that many people quiet? And granted, some of them might not have known if we won or not, but something would have come out. It's not a single person in authority, not a single whistleblower with any credibility has ever come out and said we didn't go to the moon. So like I said, I'm sorry, I can't talk about it from a technological standpoint because I'm not an engineer and whatever I say is irrelevant. But I just don't see a scenario where it's possible that we did not go to the moon.
Well, I think you bring up...
I told you the story.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I ran into Edgar Mitchell one time down in the hallway at a hotel, and we talked a bit and asked him about the moon and, people thinking to go to the moon and stuff. And I even asked him in terms of, what did you guys see anything up there, And I have no reason after talking to him, I don't know, it's just a casual conversation, but I have no reason to ever believe that all these guys were lying. It just doesn't make any sense to me, And again, it's just from a human standpoint, but.
No, and I agree with you. And I think you bring up a very strong point on that. The fact that we were, we haven't heard a thing out of Russia or China that we didn't go to the moon. Now, there was a little bit of, if I do recall, when China sent their rover to the moon a couple of years ago, they wanted to see if the United States actually did. But that sounded more propagandist than absolutely anything different than that. But, Bryan, we bring you in here, and William will get you after Bryan. I'm a firm believer. I think the majority of us are firm believers that the moon is ripe with, human footprints, one flag that's probably, changed color from red, white, and blue to just white now, and to packets of astronaut doo-doo all over the place. I think we've been there.
We're always littering, aren't we? All as humans.
Yes.
I thoroughly believe we went to the moon. I also believe that they did set up an alternative if we did fail to have these videos created, because that's what you would do in that Cold War race. But no one ever points to the fact that the guy that was heading up of this entire project was Werner von Braun, and the Nazis themselves were literally like hours away from having weaponry that would rival stuff today. And I remember this one great story. There was a reporter there doing some stuff with, at the Space Center, and he always wanted to interview von Braun. And he came in, and they went to lunch, and he asked him outright, "How did you get so much technology? How did you get so close?" And it is rumored that he said we had help from them, and he pointed like up in a different direction. So here's the thing here. Let's go back to the UFOs. Who did he get help from? The technology they had was so far advanced. I mean, we're talking about jet engines, jet fighter jets. They were that close that I think take that technology and really throw a lot of money behind it. There's no way we didn't go to the moon. And I think our mistake was not continuing to go to the moon and not maybe taking it as our own, but just proving that we can do this. But I don't know why they stopped. And I don't think it was a money thing.
And it couldn't have been recorded. Everybody says, oh, they recorded in a studio. Well, there was a 16-hour live stream or 18-hour live stream of the event landing on the moon, and most of it was boring. So for that to be live, and if it was recorded, they would have had to have had miles and miles of tape, film. And the footage never broke. In those days, the footage always broke. Imagine if that happened during a supposed live moon landing. And there was a cosmonaut who did come out and said in an interview, I don't know where it was, that we faked it. But I don't think we did. I think we went there. Sorry, Bill. I didn't mean to, William. Didn't mean to, Mr. Pullin.
No, I agree. Yeah, we went there. The vast majority of the data supports that conclusion. I mean, and again, the common sense ways you can look at this thing. I mean, the Soviets were our arch enemy. If we hoaxed it, they would have called us on it. Somebody would have blown the whistle and let the people know that, the Americans hoaxed this. That has not happened at all. There were tens of thousands of people that worked on the Apollo program. Somebody would have snitched. It's human nature. Humans are not really good at keeping secrets. Somebody would have sold a book. Somebody would have made a movie. Somebody would have made money telling the truth about a hoax. That has not happened. And from a science standpoint, yeah, we went to the moon. I mean, there's no argument there. No, not at all.
It's still a debate, though, William, as we got about 2 minutes left here, that after 50 plus years, we're still debating this. And the sad part about it is it seems like, with the fact that we are chasing the moon again, that many more people are on the side that we haven't been there, especially in the younger generation. How do we wake them up to the fact that this already happened if they're not willing to believe history?
I wish I had an answer for you. I mean, people are not really good at processing information. They tend to look for information that confirms their own beliefs. They tend not to accept information. It makes them question that. They're not good at looking for different sources. They see a link on the internet and they see a story from CNN or Fox News or whatever, and they never bother to look if there's another source. So it might be fake news. It might be misinformation. People are not good at looking at this stuff. And people of a younger generation, say under 40, get all their news from social media, not reputable news sources. So that's a problem there. So the way they process information, where they get the information from, is an issue. And then trying to convince them of the reality of history is another thing altogether. So I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. It's very troubling.
But if it wasn't for the videos out there where NASA guy says, if we can go back to the moon, but we can't because we lost the telemetry data and all the film is, I mean, come on, man, you're going to lose history. That's why nobody believes them.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, didn't NASA lose the blueprints for the Saturn V? Well, we could have used the same blueprint, rebuild the Saturn V, and use that nowadays. There's nothing wrong with that rocket.
Right.
But they lost the blueprint. I mean, come on.
It's so
It's
stupid.
outrageous, but it does happen. Yeah. Agreed.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to put in a grind on this right now because we do have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Our guest tonight, Bryan Bowden, podcaster extraordinaire. You can hear him on about 3,822 podcasts. We have Alex Mistretta, who thinks shirts are passe, Rich Giordano from Goof On Radio, and the khaki slack-wearing UFO historian William Pullin. Ouija boards next on the Roundtable and Spaced Out Radio.
Ouija boards, yes.
You bastard. How dare you bring up Ouija boards in front of me behind my back.
That's one hell of a change of direction.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's
True.
reverse.
Well, I had to do it quietly, Rich.
When they lost all these plans, I just keep on thinking of that scene in Stripes where the guy comes in and like, "Where's my truck?" Some guys took it to get washed.
To me, that is the biggest crock of shit. Okay, in the whole aspect of why we haven't gone back to the moon, that we lost the plans or that they were destroyed or whatever it may be. I mean, like, come on, you have the most You have the most historic evidence of mankind's history going into space, and you're just going to throw it out with yesterday's trash? Like, I'm sorry, but go fuck yourself, San Diego. That didn't happen.
Like recording,
Yeah.
recording over your wife's wedding or your wedding.
I mean, you have the most. You have a
Rich.
German scientist create the most powerful non-nuclear based piece of machinery we've ever made, and we've yet to surpass that at all. And you lost the blueprints. I mean, come on. I mean,
That's so stupid. They can't rebuild it.
yeah.
They thought of it once.
You would think it would be in the Smithsonian, right? I've been
You
to the
would think.
Smithsonian.
I mean,
all the other rockets are there.
Yeah.
You can't just take it apart.
And you think of from a taxpayer standpoint, all the taxpayer dollars being spent to redevelop a new rocket to get to the moon when we have one already.
Exactly.
We could have saved a ton of money, but oh well. I guess not.
Well, that military shuttle they've been using, I forgot S7 something. I forgot the actual. It goes up every once in a while, and it just secretly they just launch it. It looks like the shuttle.
The
That's the
X-37B.
closest we're gonna. Yeah, I think that's it. That's the closest we're gonna get to going back. But I think it's a little bit political, but I think it's a definite. We need to go. There's more going on outside this planet than we know, and we need to put our foot in space.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it from an exploration standpoint, we made progress all the way till 1972, and then since then we've been just going around the Earth. We're just going north. We're not going anywhere. We should have progressed to a base on the moon, go to Mars, the moons of Jupiter. Instead, we went to the moon, came back, and we've kind of, since 72, December of that year, we've been going around in circles. We haven't done anything. We made a space station, but I mean, that's fine. But are we progressing beyond Earth orbit? No, not at all.
I mean, what about the claim that we were told you don't come back here? I
don't believe that.
I don't know. It's just a claim. I don't know if it's believable or not, but maybe there was a reason. Like, look, you come back here, it's going to be a problem. Who knows?
And to me,
that's it.
To me, that theory, Bryan, is a lot more credible than the fact that Stanley Kubrick made a mock video in a studio in L.A. or wherever it may be.
Well, here's the thing. I think that they went to Kubrick and he was making these movies. I mean, I've been to the volcano in Hawaii. It looks like the surface of Mars. I mean, if you wanted to find a surface of Mars, and they actually tested a couple of moon rovers over on the volcanic rock, but I would definitely make something up if hey, if we fail, what are we going to do? We're going to look like idiots. So let's have something to back up. And I think, true to form as humans are, they had those videos and they kind of get mixed in with the video, the good video pile. And some of the video footage you're seeing is Kubrick and some of it's from the moon. And that's where the discrepancies come in when someone says, well, if they're landing, who's videotaping this? when they're landing on the moon, and you see it, like whatever, them getting out. Who's videotaping? If he's Neil Armstrong's the first guy, to come out of there, who the hell's videotaping him doing?
No, that's the backwards of the story. The camera he came out, put the camera down, then they redid it.
No. All of us are using our brains here, but the kids today, get 30 seconds worth on YouTube, and they'll tell you the Easter Bunny's real, or they'll say it's photoshopped, and they don't realize, you don't think they came out and said, "Oh, cool, this is cool. Let's videotape me coming out, make it historic." That's what you do. It's ridiculous.
The thing with the shadows. That's ridiculous. I went outside and took a picture as the sun was setting of a corner of the apartment, and it went 2 different directions.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. I just thought aliens. It was amazing.
You got aliens.
Well, it all has to do with angle and
no,
hills.
You got aliens. Alex Mistretta says you got aliens. All right. Hi, Peridoxine. Thank you for coming on in. All right, guys. We're going to get going here at the bottom of the hour and kick things off. We've got 110 people on our YouTube channel right now watching this. So, straighten out your bow ties, gentlemen. Even you without the collared shirt, Alex. I mean, that's just pretty impressive.
He's got a necktie.
He's got a necktie.
Dude.
Necktie guy.
I don't even own a tie.
Oh, it's there.
I've been owning tie in like 25 years.
Hold on, guys. Here we go. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for each and every one of you joining us tonight. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our brand new Instagram page at Spaced Out Radio Show. Rich Giordano from Goof On Radio, Alex Mistretta, researcher of all things strange and weird, even though he doesn't wear a t-shirt when he goes out in the forest looking for Bigfoot. We have the khaki pants wearing William Pullin from our resident UFO historian, he is, and Bryan Bowden, podcaster extraordinaire. If there's a podcast out there, likely he has been on it. Gentlemen, we're going to change topics from going out in space and UFOs and everything like that. We're going to head back to this world with the flat Earth and the flat board surface of the Ouija board. Now, earlier this month, I had this dude on named Rich Giordano, who happened to have just an incredible experience with his Ouija board. All right. And, Rich, I take very seriously when he says something happens, it happens, because he's not a guy who has the words BS in his stories. He's just not like that. And Rich, I'm not going to get into detail about what happened, because people can go back and listen to our podcast from June 18th. But would you say that you are an actual believer that the Ouija board does open up to different realms now?
No, I don't know. That's the whole thing. That's the problem. I can now say there's been 2 very strong cases that say that, yeah, it is possible. But I don't have proof. The only proof I have is the story, an X-ray, that shows the damage that happened from a possible spiritual attack after trying to make contact with the devil over 100 times with the Ouija board, and then not closing, saying goodbye after every session. Possibly it's still active. And the reason I say that, because weird things have happened around me and in this place that I'm living in. And it's a different feeling when I leave here and when I come home. I just can't explain it. There was a time where I thought everything was gone and I closed all the doors to the Ouija board that I had opened. Now, look, this is coming from a skeptical person talking about a Ouija board, having doors that open to another place and time and realm of something we don't understand. I don't get it. But Dave, the coincidences and things that happened really point towards something possibly attacked me a couple of times now, 3 times, and went to the hospital for one of them and came back with x-rays. It looked like I was choked. My esophagus was bruised from top to bottom. They asked me if I practiced magic by doing, sword swallowing acts and things of that nature. No, we thought it was a Taco Bell chip that got stuck. Can't happen, he said. So, losing my voice, getting bruised. I still have effects from that because it's happened again just this year, something very similar. So I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know, but I made a vow to not disrespect the board and to give it a nice home to overlook my place, and that's where it sits, and I don't talk about it in a negative manner anymore. And since then, maybe subconsciously, maybe it's my messed up mind being in this field for so long that maybe I subconsciously created all this. That's where I think I'm going with it. But then when you ask for forgiveness and then immediately you start getting better from being almost deathly ill, how does that happen? I don't know. Mind over matter? Or is it really a spiritual attack that came from the Ouija board?
Well, I would say you're a believer. You got spirits. I
still don't know. And the scary thing is, I still want to use that board. And I want to try things as a researcher, because taking it out of my life, I can't get answers. It never moved. The thing doesn't work. But maybe it opens up a port. Maybe if you put your mind into it, the universe senses that, and maybe it opens up something we don't understand. That's where I'm at with it, because I can't think of anything else other than that. What is it? The energy that I put my focus into this thing, that I gave it access to another dimension just by thought alone? That's deep for me. That's Greer stuff, dude. I mean, I can't handle it.
It's all about intention.
Right, I know. Yeah, right.
So your intention is there. That is the doorway. Your intention.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's the doorway. I don't play around with boards. I have. Younger,
Let me ask you. I don't mean to interrupt, but what if you did it with a pan or a frying pan, or does it work the same?
Well, the whole thing is there are other products you can go out and use it and to use for communication purposes that don't open up a wide door and allow so much in. Ouija boards throughout history are it's almost like creating a portal. Your intention creates the portal. It gives you access. Your will is diminished and is acceptable to anything, be it good, evil, or indifferent. And on 99% of the times on Ouija boards, what you're communicating with, if you think you're communicating with Grandpa Giuseppe, you're not. They'll tell you you're their Grandpa Giuseppe, and they may know things on the other side, but you don't know the intention of the entity or spirit you're communicating with. It's really dangerous.
Why do we always think it's got to be bad? Why can't it be good?
Because if it was really good, everybody would be doing it. Just because Milton Bradley puts out a Ouija board, which I think is the sickest thing, and now they make a pink one for girls, is not. It doesn't give it validity that it's good for everybody. Even in the scriptures, they tell you not to do these things. Okay, and there's reasons. It's vehicles for primarily, in my opinion, evil. In my research, evil to have a vehicle to get out into this dimension, this world.
But Bryan, doesn't it come from people who did? You're Bryan, right?
I am Bryan. Okay. All day long.
Sure.
I'm Bryan. I'm Bryan. I have 3,000 podcasts.
All right.
I forgot my train of thought.
Well, I think you were going with, the whole thing is we actually, Ron Murphy and I, we have a couple of communication boards, and we're designing some nice ones, and they're been for different, try to communicate specifically with angels, specifically with fairies. We have a CE5 board actually coming out, but the point is I don't play around. I don't need that. If you do proper meditation, you can do the same type of communication and get where you want.
Doesn't work for me. Nothing works for me. I've been doing it for 15, 17 years. Nothing works. I can't contact anyone.
I'll tell you, binaural beats, put them on.
I have it. I've got them.
And then you need to figure out a way to calm yourself down.
I
and
do.
it when
The
you're
calmest guy I know.
But I think they're really dangerous. And frankly, in your home right now, you have a ticking time bomb. Just because you've been very nice to the board, but you need to have a third party that actually handles these things to get rid of that and really close that portal. And you should take that board, bring it out to the desert, dig a hole, fill it with salt, light the board on fire, and then cover it with salt, and just get rid of it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and I can film it with my drone.
Yeah.
Great idea.
You totally could. You totally could.
Yeah, that would be great. Because I think you're going to find some very weird experiences when you're actually lighting that thing on fire. We've done that for several on different investigations. We've taken several Ouija boards and we've actually burned them. We've gotten them out. We salted the ground and don't plant anything there. And maybe it's the moment, but it does sound like there's like screams or you can feel it. There's something going on there. It's really weird. It's great for a movie, but we don't normally play with them. If you want to play with it and you really want to try to communicate with someone, they have all these voice phonetic generators like Ovilus. And you'd be better with the spirit box, to tell you the truth.
I got them.
Yeah, well, you put headphones on the spirit box, record the outside, and literally put something over your eyes so you're really just take all the distractions away. You're focusing, and you need another party to kind of ask questions.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
That works better.
All right. Well, let's get Alex's point on this because, he looks like he can work a planchette like anybody's business.
I love that word.
Well, my point of view is I don't think it's a Ouija board per se. I mean, you can get alphabet soup, pouring down, on the pan, get some Cheerios. And what's important is the intent. It's the environment you're doing it in and the observer. I think it has nothing to do with the board itself, and in my opinion, and from my experience of investigating. So there's, the thing is when we start talking about all kinds of hauntings, there's so many different sources for it. And I think some of it is self-generated. I think some of it is your kind of like your psychic expression of your id that takes a physical form. And some of them, sure, some of them is probably some kind of like outside entity type of thing. It seems to be that. But is it the board? I don't think it's the board. I think you could be using anything.
Well,
as long as
Oh, go ahead.
I was thinking as long as all the factors are in place for something to happen, whatever those are, something's going to happen. And it might stay with you because your body kind of functions like, it's almost like a virus. Something happens, it stays with you. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger until something major happens, and then slowly it starts coming down as you're kind of getting off it. Like, I've done lots of investigations. I used to work with Dr. Barry Taff, and we mostly focus on poltergeist cases. And a lot of times we'd go in these places where things would escalate. And when I would come home, things would happen to me, like the stove would turn on fire, or I'd hear a loud bang, and that sort of thing. As little by little, it would dissipate, So I think once you kind of leave it alone, ultimately, most of the time it's going to stop anyway. So I don't think it's the board.
Well, just to clarify, when I did have that first spiritual attack, it's because I found a cross with Jesus on it that my mother gave to me, 13 years old. And I found it after all these years, and I put it around my neck and denounced the devil. And I said, I'm going to follow God. The devil stinks, da-da-da-da-da. And I welcome God. I mean, within, 24 hours, I was starting to get sick. And my throat was damaged, and that's where I had the necklace lay. It was, shorter than it was when I was 13, so it laid right there. Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, you might be that one exception where that really rare case where something truly, truly not right showed up. The problem I have with those is the majority, when people start describing, for lack of better words, demons, their version is the Christianity version mixed up with the Hollywood version, which I don't think really exists. But if you believe it does, because again, you can't separate the observer from the observed in the event, it's going to manifest that way. So is there, it's ultimately we're talking about, is there outside entities, and they're evil that won't you harm? Maybe, I don't know. You might be one of those really rare cases we actually encountered one of those. but I think that modality gets way, way overplayed. And remember, when we start talking about evil, what we're really talking about is the perception of evil mixed in with cultural expectations of what evil really is. And so I think, the way you view phenomena very much affects the way phenomena comes back at you, if that makes any sense, So
Yeah.
I don't think it's the board. I think it's a lot more complicated than that.
Last night, Dave, just so you guys know, I had one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. Because I've been seeing like shadow people out of the corner of my eyes, and sometimes I'm looking at them straight on and they dissolve right in front of me or go away. I can't explain. I think I actually laugh when it happens. I'm like, I know I didn't see what I just saw. Well, last night I'm just sitting there playing on my phone, the TV's on, and I know what I saw, but I'll tell you, I looked up at the same time I saw a streak go past the bottom half of my TV. And I thought, well, maybe it was just a glitch from the signal. So I rewound it and was seeing if it was in the stream. Rewound it, it wasn't there. But I did see with like my own eyes a shadow figure right in front of my face last night for the first time. Unbelievable. And I'm talking about it because I think they are real for the first time in my life. And I know it's weird, but we've been, I used to put it off as something in the corner of my eye. But when it happens so much and you see it over a course of a couple of years, eventually you're going to give in and say, okay, it's really happening. And,
it's just like, no, I agree. And no, I know what you're saying, because I've seen one too, literally in front of my face, more, and literally just walk right in front of me, a full 3D apparition, all black and that sort of thing. But I'm still going to question, what is it I'm seeing? Because, all the books, everything says, oh, you've seen a ghost, you've seen a demon or this. But we really don't know what we're seeing. We just know, it's like, it's like that's sort of like the, the three blind men and the elephant. One guy grabs, the tail, describes it. Oh, I'm feeling a rope. One guy grabs a leg. He's like, I'm feeling a tree trunk. We're getting such a small portion of what's really out there because our perceptive system is so limited as humans that I really question that if we had the full picture, what are we really seeing? What's really out there might not be at all what we think it is.
What a great way to describe that with the three different ways. That's exactly what's happening.
The fun stuff is when you have somebody that's not a non-believer, like my wife doesn't believe in any of this stuff, but she starts seeing it, which validates what you're saying, which is great. But what we're missing here is the fact that each one of us are drawn to these fields. And the more you start researching, the more you start opening up to it, you actually change the way you are. I guess the term they use now is vibrating.
Right.
So you are actually tuning that tool that we all have. We have a gift, an ability, just like any psychics or whatever. We have these abilities. We tune them out. Once you start tuning them in, then you really start. The more you notice them, they'll come. They'll clear or they'll get. You'll start getting those shadows, or you'll get something that looks like the Predator thing going there, and little by little, you'll start seeing other things coming your way. You may be interacting with extraterrestrials at one point, but it's very interesting how we're missing out on this whole process of tuning that third eye and really tuning into it on a spiritual level. And I think that will open up. It's like tuning a frequency. There's probably tons of stuff around each and every one of us right now, but we're only tuned to Spaced Out Radio. But if we tuned a little bit to the right of Spaced Out Radio, you may just see this whole world of beings in front of your face.
Do you remember earlier, I don't know if you guys do, I said where I meditated for years, nothing happened. Well, maybe I'm just having a delayed reaction. Maybe they're getting the message now. I don't know. But that's possible.
Well, if you take the time and space that we're in right now, this craziness, one of the greatest gifts that happened to us because of everybody being home or whatever is time for reflection, to really reflect on what's important in our lives, and also to, just deal with that immediate family. And I think also combine that with what they've been doing with CERN, and they're playing around with things they don't know. I think there may be some rips in times and space that CERN has been doing. that's created the Mandela effect. That's been allowed spirits in different dimensions to intertwine with each other. And it gets into a lot of science stuff, but I think that's helping us out. I think we're becoming more spiritual, and that's important.
Let's get William Pullin in here in regards to the Ouija board. I know you're a guy who likes his eggs sunny side up. What's your thoughts on whether or not the Ouija board works?
Yeah, I have no point of view. I've never researched it. I've listened to all the guys put their opinions forward, and a lot of things make sense. I like Alex's point of view that it may have less to do with the board itself, more the observer. That sounds reasonable to me. From a purely, I guess, a grounded point of view, I mean, a skeptical point of view, I have trouble relating that embracing the idea that a product created by, I think who is it, Parker Brothers or Hasbro, that manufactures Ouija boards?
Parker
I mean,
Brothers.
I have trouble.
I think it was Milton Bradley.
Or Milton
Bradley, yeah. I have issues with embracing the idea that an American company is creating or they're mass producing a product which has paranormal capabilities. That makes me believe that it's more the observer. It's less about the board, like Alex said. It's more the observer and their ability to tap into other realms of reality beyond our own existence here on Earth. So I'm more comfortable with that. But beyond that, I have no idea what's going on. I really don't, Dave. Sorry, man.
Well, as someone who has played with the Ouija board, and I have had, I'm not going to say I haven't had an experience like Rich has, but I've had, some strange things happen with that as well. And, I tend to believe there is something to it. I'm not saying it's a planchette. I'm not saying it's anything, but I do believe what Rich says, that it's almost like we are opening up a portal of some sort in order to bring in and to open up our own spiritual energy for this communication. And because, a Ouija board reminds me of the old adage, back in the 80s and 70s and earlier, when we had party lines on our phone line. All of a sudden you get 4 or 5 people on there and they're all talking at the same time and having a conversation, and nobody called each other. It's one of those strange things that I think happens. And I think that's what happens when we open up the Ouija board and we tune right into it. Now, do I recommend it for people? No. Would I use one again myself? I'm like Rich. Absolutely. I haven't had a good experience with it, but I haven't had a bad one. And it draws you in. It makes you want to learn more, because it's almost like a slot machine. That one time you pull the handle, you're going to get all aces, or you're going to get all kings, or whatever it may be, whatever slot machine you're playing, right? Don't you feel that way, Rich, as we got about 40 seconds?
Yeah, I guess. I was just thinking about things. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's you don't know what you're gambling with, I guess, because I didn't know, and I thought I would know. Hey, if the thing moves, somebody came through. If I catch it, something, as an EVP, great, I made a connection. Whatever. If I get some evidence, it's proof. Well, it came a different way, I think, and that's what you have to look out for, because you don't know what can happen with these things.
Pardon me,
you may put up the bat signal, right? I put up the signal, and the first thing that came through, who knows? Could have been evil. Second one could have been nice. Could have killed that second one, and the third one came through more evil, and so on and so forth. And
that's the danger of it. We don't know what we're dealing with. We don't know. We don't know if it's real. We don't know if it's fake. We don't know if it's us. We don't know if it's an enhancer. It's spiritual Viagra is what it is. Spiritual Viagra.
Yeah.
It's like marriage. You don't know what you're getting.
Oh, it is.
No. It goes both directions, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. With 30 seconds left here, do you think that we'll ever know whether or not a Ouija board is a good piece of evidence to use to try and get communication, Alex? 30 seconds.
No. There's better ways to do it.
Oh,
There's enough places in the world where things happen on a consistent basis out at a haunted house or the Ohio Bashu forest in Romania that you don't need the Ouija board. There's much better, stronger places to go to that we can actually measure the environment or entities that come through or whatever on a consistent basis. So Ouija board will become obsolete.
Well, makes sense.
So Ouija board stinks?
Apparently.
Or you just don't recommend it? The Ouija board is no good. It's not a real tool, is what you're saying?
All right, gentlemen, save the argument. Save the argument for next half hour because we got to get out of here. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio continues after this. Mistretta and I are dropping the gloves next hour too. By the way, just so you know, we're dropping the gloves.
Primate Bigfoot.
Oh yeah. It's on with Bigfoot after this, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. I'm bringing Bigfoot. Them big, hairy 36-inch pythons are going to wrap around that little stick you call a neck. We're going to snap it, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
I'm ready.
You guys chat away. I'll be right back. I got to run the dogs outside.
Yeah, dog smoking, whatever.
Again?
See you later.
Dog smoke, whatever.
I don't know why that was funny.
Code word? It's a dog's code word for something or what?
You're smoking, isn't it?
It's probably smoking or...
Yep. I mean, yeah, that's true.
You don't want to let your everybody know you're going out for a smoke. That's bad these days. So I'm going out to walk the dogs. That's good these days.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to go to the bathroom, just take the kids to the pool, you know.
Right.
Take the kids to the pool.
Very nice. Very nice.
See?
Look at how tan they got.
Exactly. I think the whole thing with the board though is it's not that the board is bad. It's the board. I think spirits can possess certain objects, materials. We see this with all this haunted crap, you know, like haunted pianos and you know, there's the Deca boxes and all this stuff.
Right, but a lot of love goes into the piano and that. You know what I mean? Passion.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, you know, every serial killer was once a nice person, right?
Yeah.
You know, until they started throwing cats against the wall or whatever. It's intention. It's your intent. It's intention. It's location. You know, you don't know where you are. Like, you know, they could have built your housing complex on a sacred Indian burial site.
They did. Very close, actually.
There you go. And, you know, maybe when you're playing with the boards, you want to start off slow. Like, hey, let's try to get Jesus in here. You know, instead of go straight to the devil.
Right. I didn't think of that. That's actually true. I'll do that. That'll be my wall.
You know, pick a lower totem pole god or your demon or something like that.
But I did do that. I didn't get a response, so that's why I did the devil thing. Tried the opposite effect.
Oh, I gotta give you credit, man. You went straight to Satan. Way to go. I mean,
screw this. I'm going to the top.
When I started that, I was like, "What am I doing? I shouldn't be doing this." And I did it, and it felt weird, and nothing happened, and then I started doing them, getting mad, like calling out the devil. What are you, a girl? You're a little girl. You think you're a man. Oh, you know, you can't say that nowadays. Well, the devil understood. That was a couple of years ago. It was different.
You know, it was just waiting for him to go, damn it, why you do this to me, damn it?
Right.
Which I found out the guy that Exorcist story, I heard a long time ago, but the actual father that went out there to do the Exorcist in real life was Father Bowden. I don't know if I'm related.
No.
Yeah. So that kind of freaked me out. Like, oh crap, I gotta hide now. You know. There's a place in D.C. There's a house that's been abandoned. You can't buy it. You can't do anything. It's locked up. That became a portal. They were playing around in that house too, and they literally opened up a portal.
You went in there? Have you?
No.
Oh.
Let me tell you, when we do investigations on the paranormal end, like ghosts and whatever, I draw the line. Demons are way above my pay grade.
Oh, yeah,
So we'll call Father Bob or we'll call demonologists that we know and other people to handle it. I mean, you should, you know, No, it's like giving an 8-year-old a 44 Magnum. It's like, no, just start with a 22 first. You know,
Let me
it's
ask you,
not worth it. Yeah.
since you actually do this regularly, do you think we have any legitimate evidence coming from the Ghost Adventures crew, or do you think 90 to 100% is fake?
So, okay,
For real.
I'm going to tell you straight up. When I first saw the Ghost Adventures guys, they literally, the first thing I've ever seen from them, you see a brick physically flying.
Yes, I saw that
And
too.
I
The
was like,
Watch
okay,
Club, yeah.
This is really good. But I think it's very campy. I don't think there's really much true evidence from them. The greatest thing that ever came out of the Ghost Adventure guys is all the technology and the thought process that went in there. Some of that technology is amazing. I love the Kinect. I knew about Kinect but well before it came out, and what the original idea of Kinect was for a surgeon to be someplace else in the world and literally physically be able to do any type of surgery. It can detect your pulse. I mean, the unit that most people have on their Xbox is the same unit you would get, you know, like the upper grade one, where if you really turn on the power of that thing, it detects things that are not in the human eye spectrum. There's a lot of videos, if you look them up, where people are sitting there playing, and when they turn the Kinect on, it detects another entity in the room. It says unknown. Well,
TikTok just came out with a feature that can detect this weird phenomenon too.
Really?
Yeah, it's a new feature. I don't know what it does, but it's supposed to detect living things, and it's detecting people sitting on couches that aren't there. So they think it's tapped in.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That I'm only on TikTok because I have 2 young kids, and I got to see what the heck they're doing. But you know, like what they're up to, I got to monitor them because I'm responsible for those people. Yeah. But what's very interesting between like some of these paranormal boards and stuff is, think about the attention. If you're going there and you're trying to communicate with something that's dead or some kind of entity or spirit using a board, the difference between that and a Buddhist monk using Tibetan singing bowls and frequency is it's basically the same thing, except the intention is to get some positive energy going through it versus the unknown. And
all
the
right,
unknown
gentlemen,
can be positive.
on that, I got to cut it off because we're about to come back here. Hold on. Music is on, everybody.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune us on in for everything weird and woo. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on Revolution Radio and TalkStream Live. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Xenarine. Xenarine is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rocking Out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and give us a follow on our Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We are talking with Rich Giordano from Goof On Radio, William Pullin, our UFO historian, researcher Alex Mistretta, and Bryan Bowden, podcaster extraordinaire, as we are into the third hour of the SOR Roundtable, which happens near the end of each month. Gentlemen, welcome back. And we're going to get into Bigfoot. Because recently, Alex and I had to drop the gloves on Facebook because he called all of us who believe that there may be something a little bit supernatural with Sasquatch a bunch of rotten, no good, ought to be tossed out of the field of research type of people.
Good for him.
Oh, yeah. It went down. It went down. I told him to put a shirt on. I said, put a shirt on, man. So, Alex, I'm giving you the forum here. What is wrong with the idea that we don't know what this creature is, and therefore it's an animal. Give me your best shot right here. I'm showing you the right side of my face here. You know, this beautiful stubble here. I'm ready to take the first shot.
Oh, okay. It's been brought in. All right. Well, first of all, my whole thing is, it's a primate. I never said it's an animal. I said it's a primate. Primate means humans, we're primates, apes, and everything in between. All our hominin ancestors, all the ancestors are great apes. Everything from Lucy on down to Homo erectus, to Homo naledi, everything, Neanderthals, they're all primates. So, and the reason I say that with Bigfoot is because every single trait associated with Bigfoot, except for the supernatural stuff that you deal with, says primate. From the cone head, from the way it walks, from obviously from the way it looks, from the footprints, from the nests that people found associated with Bigfoot. And it's we already have Bigfoot in a fossil record, right? We have very similar species, whether it's Gigantopithecus on the ape side, whether it's some of our ancestors, whether it's Homo naledi, Homo erectus. A lot of our hominid ancestors have this mix of modern features with primitive features, which is something that when I was in school, for the record, I'm a little biased because I have a BS in anthropology, so I'll admit that right off the bat. But when I was in school, none of that existed. We didn't know. We thought that evolution worked in a single line, right? You had one species, the next, the next, and the next. But that's not true. Now we know that having multiple bipedal hominid species on the planet is actually the norm. Officially, it's only been for the last 30 to 40,000 years, it's only been us. So everything about Bigfoot fits in within that paradigm, and that's why I say it's a primate, without getting too many specifics. And again, saying that it's a primate and having supernatural or paranormal attributes is not mutually exclusive, by the way. I've always said that. Just people kind of overlook that.
Sounds like a little bit of butt kissing there, if you ask me. I'm just saying. No. Let me get it straight. I want to be a butt kisser. If you deny evolution, people deny evolution, deny that Bigfoot seems to be a primate, that Bigfoot is strict alien or supernatural is 100% full of shit, and you're a moron. So I'm not back. I gotta bleep that one, man. I gotta bleep that one.
Okay. Sorry, I don't want to be accused of butt kissing.
All right. My argument to this is this. Okay. Is the fact that we don't know what this is. We don't have a body. We don't have any sort of evidence outside of a few hair samples, footprints, maybe some handprints, the odd teeth print that came out of both Indiana and Mount St. Helens, and some scat. All right. There is no bone structure. There is no nothing. We also cannot, without proper investigation, deny the experiences that people have had where this creature disappears right in front of them, which if you look at a lot of First Nations, American Indian legends regarding this, I don't think that we can dismiss those without proper investigation. And I think too many times we try and look and hide behind the word science when it comes to something that we don't know about. Therefore, if we're going to be doing that, are we really conducting anything scientific if we aren't investigating everything about the evidence the way it's shown?
But we got to start somewhere, right? We have to build a hypothesis. We have to start at the beginning. The paranormal attributes, that comes later. First, we need to know what that species really is at its origin, biologically, what it is. And look, if Bigfoot existed, it came from somewhere, right? The most likely culprit would have to be Eurasia, because that's where all the fossil is of every species on the planet ever looked like Bigfoot. But so even today you have sightings there, right? You got the Yeti in Nepal, Bhutan, and Tibet. You got the Almasty in Russia and Mongolia, where it's called the Almas, Chichunau in Siberia. We're basically talking about the exact same type of species. There's absolutely no supernatural attributes in any of those sightings whatsoever in that part of the world. It's only in North America. So I agree with you. There's a problem there. It's not something we should ignore. but but we can't completely throw out the primate hypothesis because everything points in that direction. It doesn't mean that there isn't something on top of that.
I understand, and I agree with you a little bit. Okay, but as someone who has had a Bigfoot sighting and had something supernatural happen a couple days after that, and then get roared at by a creature that I've never heard before. All right, it opens up the realm to a whole different slew of possibilities. And this is where I'm saying that we cannot close the door on anything that we don't know about, because the minute we close the door, we're not conducting science. We're conducting opinion.
Yeah, agreed. I've never closed the door. I'm just saying my focus. I'm not closing the door. As I've said, it's not mutually exclusive. But I don't think we can. But the primate aspect of it, looking for the bones and the fecal sample, whatever, hair sample, that's something that we can do actively, and we can get data, we can get results, we can find a body, we can film a Bigfoot. All these things we can actually do if we, had enough money and time, again, like everything else. So I think, to me, that's where the focus should be. All the paranormal stuff comes later, because that's something you can't actively prove right now. So, again, like I said, it's not mutually exclusive, but we have to have priorities, and we have to have a working hypothesis to begin with, one that we can actually go on and take steps, and eventually turn into a theory.
All right, William Pullin, what says you? You've heard both sides of the debate.
You guys both make great points. What do we have as evidence? All the evidence we have suggests it's a physical creature, which means it might be a mammal, a primate, an animal. It's something physical, a species on Earth. That's not close. I would never close my mind to possibilities. Could there be a paranormal aspect to this? Absolutely. Do we know that? Absolutely not. We don't. It's an idea, a possibility, but it's not really confirmed. We do have lots of witness testimony that suggests there's a paranormal aspect to this. And again, we can't cast that aside, but without investigation, we can't confirm it either. Have those sightings been confirmed? Have they each been investigated? If they haven't, we can't assume they're valid either. We can't draw a conclusion unless an investigation has been done. If it has not been done, then we simply have an opinion, and that's not science. So regardless of our point of view, we need to conduct legitimate scientific investigations into whether we think it's, a physical creature or there's a paranormal aspect to it. Whatever the case may be, we need to take this conversation from beyond an opinion-based conversation to a conversation based on a hypothesis that is held up under scrutiny, and they go from there. So you need to start with one hypothesis, see if it holds up under scrutiny, make adjustments to it, go with the evidence, and it should be flexible enough to go with what the data suggests. But at this point, all the physical evidence we have suggests it's a physical animal. That does not mean it's not paranormal. All it means is that everything we have at this point doesn't support that at this point. So, but my own personal point of view, I think it's a physical animal. I think it's an unknown species of primate that has lived into modern times. It's not overly. It's relatively rare, and beyond that, I don't know. But I think it's a physical animal.
Well, you're the type of guy who eats breakfast for dinner too, so I don't know if we can trust that opinion. Rich Giordano.
No. Oh yeah. Mm-mm.
Yes, sir.
You listening to all this?
I think
maybe. Yeah.
I like
since we're
the
here.
fact. Yeah. Since we're here, why not? Forget about it. I like the fact that I'm not a Bigfoot researcher, because it's hard in Arizona to do that. Because I get to still be on the outside. This is one of the few things I'm on the outside looking in. So as someone who is a researcher in ufology, I look at this field and I say, what evidence have they captured? Those cast footprints, some scat, hair, all that stuff's been explained. That's what I thought. It was explained as bears, coyotes, all sorts of things that are regular animals, not Bigfoot. So as an outsider, I don't see any evidence, so there can't be science. There could only be the thought, wow, if that was a Bigfoot sound, I didn't recognize it. It must be Bigfoot theory. I don't like it. That reminds me of the BFRO people who always came up with nothing. You know, what was that? I don't know. I heard the same thing. What do you think it is? I don't know. Let's knock on a tree. And then they knock on a tree. For all they know, it could be another guy half a mile away doing what they're doing. They just didn't run into each other. I don't know. I want to believe Bigfoot is real because the stories are fascinating. I believe these people didn't just see a bear and they got so scared it turned into a Bigfoot because they were scared. No, there might be something out there. I just would like to see evidence. And until then, it doesn't exist. You can't say something exists if you don't have anything to prove it exists. Anyway.
All right. Let's go to Bryan Bowden.
I've been researching Bigfoot for a while. I always thought Pacific Northwest, but there's plenty of them in New York State and Connecticut and Pennsylvania. We had a nice encounter on a day-night investigation deep in the woods, pitch black. We had full spectrum FLIR, low light, every type of camera you could think of. We had bluff charges. We had a rock thrown. And my original thought with Bigfoot is primate, some kind of that line right there. And I never thought of the woo side of it. And I hate the term woo, but that's the paranormal based stuff until this creature moved from point A where we were to 2 miles down the road in less than a second. And then I started looking into more research, and you get reports of these things almost dematerializing from people. I don't know what this creature is. I don't know. I think there's more. There's like a gene experiment going on with this thing where it has some of the characteristics of a human. So when you're doing the DNA, you're going to get like, oh, it's just a human hair. But it's off. Is it a missing link? Possibly. That's a better theory. Could it be an interdimensional creature? And initially I would never have said that, but I'm thinking, yes, it could. There's a lot of things. We have a lot of animals that we have yet to research that can do incredible things that are beyond our comprehension. It's almost magical. And I always go back to the octopus. That creature should not be on this planet. There's no way it should be here. There's no rhyme or reason for it, but it can mimic any type of color, form, or whatever it wants, shape, and it's still here. We just don't have anything in public view that we can physically do tests on. And that's the problem. That's where the research stops. Until you physically can have a creature, you're done. It's all hypothesis, whether you're on the ape side or not.
So people are saying, but Rich is wrong. There is evidence. It's inconclusive evidence. It's not provable evidence. Yes, there may be something out there, but until we actually have the body, we don't have a provable thing that matches up with it. Come on, man.
Yes.
No, that's 100%. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a 17.5-inch print we got. We found upstate New York, and definitely looked like there's a couple of prints and looked like it took a step down off a 6-foot bank. So it was a big boy or big girl, but I don't physically have it. I've seen flashes of something that will mimic it. I've heard this is the greatest thing when you start doing the tree knock things, and when a Bigfoot's present, the woods go silent. When you're having a Bigfoot experience, whether you physically you're seeing them or you can feel this tense, and everything goes silent. Everything
it's also
shuts
nighttime,
up.
Right? It's also nighttime.
I've had that during the day.
Wow.
You have dogs barking around, and all of a sudden you hear something like a whoop or whatever, and the dogs just stop.
Couldn't this just be from Gigantopithecus from 10,000 years ago that stood 8 to 10 feet tall? That we have evidence?
That's what everybody's leaning towards, but why are they so evasive? I mean,
because I'll tell you why. I didn't mean to interrupt, but if I don't, I'll forget. What if they've been around so long, saw the growth of man, but have a system in place because they're smart that they actually hollowed trees out and they hide in a tree system that we wouldn't be able to detect? I've heard people like loggers saying they chopped trees down and there was nothing inside of them. That's bizarre. So maybe they're making some sort of underground tunnel system, cave system that we just don't know about.
I agree with that. I mean, I agree that they're masters at blending into the environment.
Yeah,
that's their world, you know. But it's, you know, I don't think it's them knowing that man is out of control and we're just going to stay here. You know, I think it's a totally different species, and I think there's several different variants of those species. And when you were mentioning, I forgot who was mentioning about, like, you know, you go into Europe and Tibet and whatever, those creatures are so aggressive, all the reports, really aggressive. No one's sticking around long enough to see, you know, get any more information, whether they can disappear or dematerialize or whatever some of that paranormal stuff is. But we do get a lot of these reports now here. And it depends on where you are. If you're in Ohio and the Ohio Grassman, super aggressive. I don't know why, but that specific species or that specific Bigfoot, very aggressive. They don't want to have anything to do with anybody. They'll go after you. They'll attack you. But the problem is, where are the bones? Where are the bodies? Do they dematerialize? Do they bury them? I mean, these are the reports. They're very clan-based. So you would think that if a bear falls in the wood, you know, dies in the woods, someone's going to feed on it, and then you're going to find some kind of carcass. But I don't even hear reports of bears being found.
Bear? You mean like bear bones?
Yeah, bear bones.
I've seen two.
I've seen some.
I've seen two.
Oh, I've not. You know, in general, I mean, we have bear here, but you know, you'll get some deer, you'll get some other, you know, rodent type of animals, raccoons, whatever. But you never really see big game like big cat. You don't see, you know, too many bear bones.
Yeah.
So what's happening to them, and who's taking them, or what are they doing with them?
It's a huge place, though.
Oh, I you know, this is the problem. People, you know, why can't we find it? Well, if you just go to Pennsylvania alone, which has a massive amount of sightings, the minute you drive into any part of Pennsylvania, it's all woods. I mean, anything can hide there. It's a needle in a haystack. Even 50 Bigfoot could hide there. They could be standing right in front of you. And if they have the ability to cloak themselves, using infrasound or something like that to warp the visible waves, forget it. They could be standing right next to you and you wouldn't even know it, because even if you're really trying to get into the research, it's a great creature.
So why doesn't Bigfoot just, like, when you hear of a woman seeing Bigfoot out in her backyard, why doesn't he try to make contact with the nice looking woman, or why don't they come up to people? If I guess they figured they have. There's a lot of reports of Bigfoot that are interacting. My first experience with the Sasquatch took place in a summer camp, sleepaway camp, western part of Connecticut. 3:00 in the morning, this thing was staring in my window. Oh my God.
And I was on a bunk bed, so I was pretty high up. And you go outside. In order for his head to be in that window, he had to be at least 7 feet tall by the shoulders. This thing is staring in the window. It smelled horrible like skunk. Yeah. I was very unnerved by it. I was in bed for an hour. I would not move. I froze. And it looked like, if you look like Cro-Magnon Man or whatever, you couldn't see all the features, but there was definitely eyes and nose, and it was tilting its head looking in. There's tons of reports. There are reports of younger Bigfoot actually interacting in national parks with young kids, specifically more girls than boys. And they're exchange, they'll exchange flowers and they'll give them a ribbon, but it's not as an aggressive creature in this. I don't think in North America it's not really that aggressive. It knows what humans are. It knows what they're capable of, because we are pretty dangerous. They know they have weapons, and you just want to kind of keep your distance from them. But there are reports.
How many species? I'm sorry, Dave. How many species are there across the world? Anybody know?
Well, I mean, there's about 7 variants that a couple of people have done research on it. There's about 7 different variants that they're known from more chimpanzee or more human-like to more baboon-like. And it's just changed on the physical characteristics. But everything's a little bit different. You go in Yahweh, down in Australia, you go to the in Tibet, it's different. There's always a little bit of a variation, but then again, there's more Caucasians in Europe, and then if you go to Asia, there's a difference, and there's a difference within the Asian community alone. So it's natural that there should be more than
crazy.
One or two variants.
God.
All right.
I'd love to capture.
Okay, quickly, Bryan, who wins, me or Alex, in the great debate?
No disrespect to Alex. I do appreciate the science side, but I think Dave wins because it opens it up
Dave.
more.
William.
Oh man, I'm out of here.
William. William, your call. We got like 10 seconds, guys.
Alex.
Oh, 1-1. Rich, you're the tiebreaker.
Oh.
Sorry, Dave.
Ouch.
Alex.
Ouch. Oh, a very sullen and sore Dave Scott returns with the Paranormal Roundtable. Alex Mistretta, William Pollan, Rich Giordano, and Bryan Bowden as we take this thing home next on the Mighty SOR. That was a good brawl, Alex. Very solid brawl. I'll give you a clap for that.
You need that big mania. It was like wrestling, big mania.
That was like USA Hockey versus Canada.
Well, then you wouldn't have won.
Yeah, that's true, unfortunately.
Well, lately, actually, the last couple of years you have. So,
On the women are good.
Oh, the women's
That
hot.
could have went either way. That contest, because it is what it is. People see it. I don't know what they're seeing, but they're seeing it.
I've seen it, and
Yep.
it boils down to physical evidence, and I would wager everything I have that the government or one of those black projects has this creature someplace locked up, and they know exactly what it is, but we'll never know about it.
I will say,
that's sad, though.
I will say this, that when I saw the pixelation of whatever it was standing beside my friend's tree, and then 30 seconds later, we got roared at from that same area. That's where I started really, really believing the woo when it comes to something special about Sasquatch.
I figured out what it was that you saw. Do you want to hear?
What was it that I saw?
There was some sort of something in the tree. It jumped out of a tree, created snowflakes falling, which you thought was the creature manifesting itself. The roar you heard was that creature attacking whatever it was it wanted from the trees. End of story. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Rich Giordano, everybody. Rich Giordano.
Couldn't it be? Why not?
You know what? I just got my ass kicked by Alex there, okay? All right?
I'm sorry. I love you, man. I love you.
You dirty bastards.
Hey, you've zinged me a few times and I didn't get back. How do you like it now? I even forgot what you said, but it was one of the best zingers anybody's ever got me with.
I gotta have to go back and listen to the tape. Where's the replay?
Yeah,
See, you guys don't have Howie Meeker back in the day. Howie Meeker. Stop it right there on Hockey Night in Canada. Stop it right there. Shut up, Howie.
Howie does it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, he's quite retired. He's been retired since like the 90s. Hall of Famer, too.
From Canada?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
No, we just got to get a Bigfoot hockey team, and that'd be something.
Oh, man.
And then goal, Sasquatch.
He doesn't even have to move.
How do you get the skates on him? Don't worry about it. It's a trainer's job. Yeah, it's when you see the pixelation, like Dave, you were mentioning, it just freaks you out. It's like, what the hell am I seeing?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
It's like Predator. You start screaming, "Get to the chopper now!" And it's just crazy.
This guy's fantastic. Listen to him doing me. It's fantastic. This one.
Fantastic. It's just. I never wanted to believe the woo, especially when people telling me they're communicating mentally with these things. I'm like, okay, I think someone missed their medicine this morning, but it's happening, and you can't deny it. And anybody, if you deny it, if you stop looking in that direction, then you defeat any type of quote unquote research you're doing, because you just threw out a big chunk of what possibly could be, there.
Stick around.
Bitch, they got you pushing too many pencils.
Predator.
They try to correlate.
By the way, redheaded Lisa has kindly reminded me the zinger I got you on when I said the only thing fake around here was your teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
That's the best one, because that opens the door for me to get you back. See how that works?
Oh, yeah.
Why did I get that zinger? I think I was owed that zinger anyway. So there was no get backs. That was an end all right there. How do I come back to that? You can't.
That was my mic drop right there. That was my mic drop.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, the show over. The show should have just ended right there. No, but instead we ruined the show by continuing on.
I'll edit it.
Uh-huh.
No, that was so funny, because I can respect a good zing, even if it's on me. I love it. Love a good zinger.
All right, guys, we got 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Thank you, Lisa, for the reminder. It's true.
Because it's true. That's what's funny about it. I like how some people don't know. Some people go, "You have such a great smile." I'm like, "I do." Oh,
ooh, let me tell you, it's bought and paid for. All right, here we go, guys. Excuse me.
Do I have that obligation to tell the next girl I'm with that I have fake teeth when we're making out?
Probably.
She's gonna know eventually. I gotta clean them.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I want to remind all of you that if you have missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you there, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show, and our show Instagram page at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce the panel of the SOR Roundtable. Joining me tonight, we have Bryan Bowden. He is a podcaster out of the beautiful state of New York. You can hear him on about 1,623 podcasts around North America. We have William Pullin, who never investigates UFOs without wearing his khaki pants and Stan Smith 1976 tennis sneakers. We have Alex Mistretta, who thinks that T-shirts are overrated. And from Goof On Radio, the man who is debating whether or not to tell his biggest secret to the next love of his life, Rich Giordano.
True.
It is true.
I don't know. Should I tell the next love of my life that I have fake teeth on the first, second, or third date?
I think
no.
They look real. They look really white, but
I don't know. No. Let us know on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio whether or not Rich should kiss and tell.
No.
I can get away with it.
Great.
The man who owns lots of stock in Polydent. Anyways.
She's going to wake up to Grandpa G one day. "Hey, what are you doing? How you doing? Hey, I'm Richie's father." It's like, how does that happen? It's going to happen. Sorry.
Oh, the fun we have around here. Gentlemen, we only got like 30 minutes left, or less than 30 minutes left in tonight's show. And one of the questions that I always want to know is, how do you change things? So I'm going to pick a topic, and you tell me how you'd change the field for the better. Rich, let's start with you. And I'm going to start with, because you're an outsider looking in, like you just mentioned, the cryptid world. How could we change that to better the research and better the respect that it gets within the community?
Well, it does. We've heard, I think Alex said it earlier a couple of times. It costs money, it takes a lot of time, but I would like to see something done that was done at the Skinwalker Ranch. Stay in an area for a year, maybe 2, and invite him to come over or them to come over and document it. And if the longer you're there, hopefully they'll come up. That's all I'm trying to say. Maybe do something on a year, document it. No, people are going out on weekends, maybe a week, I hear. I don't know people who stay out longer than a week or 2. I've never heard of it. But that Survivor Man, that from that TV show, Les Stroud, great guy, but he may have documented a Bigfoot. So it's very interesting, because he stays out there for a week, I think, and survives, right, until, they come and pick him up. So he was out there more than a day or 2 or a weekend. Got lucky. Who knows what he heard? But nonetheless, he thinks he heard a Bigfoot. I would go by his word more than anybody's. But I would like to see the best equipment that you could ever get. Thermal. I mean, they have it now, but I would like to see it scattered throughout an entire jungle, if it's possible. Get 100 of them, put them out, like in Predator 2. Remember when they had all the cameras? They had him go towards a certain area so they can document the way he runs and everything. I'd like that to see if that would pop up on a camera somewhere. I don't know. I mean, there's so many things I don't know about because it's not my field, but on the outside looking in, I think they need that kind of research, something that was like at Skinwalker Ranch, yearly, continual, and make it public. I want to know.
All right.
That's it.
Well, that's a good argument. That's a good argument. Before we get to the next person, and I'm going to hit up Alex next on this, I got to say, there is one of our listeners here in our Spreaker chat room, Stevie B, who is listening to us while camping. His wife, Alex, you'll like this story. His wife and his child are sleeping in the tent. He's sitting around, probably near a campfire, because it's always raining in Hope. That's where they filmed the first Blood, the first Rambo movie. Right before in British Columbia, before you hit the canyons, there's a small town called Hope that kind of dissects you on the highway you're going to take to get into the regions of British Columbia. Anyway, so Stevie's sitting there and in the mountains. He's got signal because there's towers all over the place, and he keeps hearing all of these noises coming through the valley and through the mountains. It sounds like tree knocks happening, and then the trains will go by. They'll stop, but the minute the trains are gone, it restarts. I'd love to be there right now. Love to be there. He says there's no lights in the hills, but loud clapping and slapping noises on a rhythm. Have you heard that before, Alex?
Oh, yeah, plenty of times. It's, again, the tree knock is a primate trait. The chimps, use tree knocks, and they even throw stones at trees, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I've heard stories of tree knocks, and I think it's sort of communication, I think, I think when people, us, meaning in the area, there's a sort of communication system between Bigfoots. This is all theoretical, obviously, but I think that's what that points to, because I've heard those stories dozens of times.
Yeah. I know where you are right now, Alex. I know exactly where you are. I just kind of Googled it to get a refresher. Yeah, you got some Bigfoot around there. Total Bigfoot around there. Keep your eyes open. Watch for the eye shine. I'd get your flashlight out. See if you can get any eye shine. That would be kind of cool. Anyways, moving on, Alex. If you could fix one area, and I'm going to pick for you the paranormal world, the ghost hunters. Okay, how would you fix it, and why would you fix it that way?
First of all, I'd set up a professional system where we got paid something like $100,000 a year with unlimited funding. And I would never step foot in a boring haunted house ever again. I would pick a plethora of environments. I would probably pick one house, maybe one abandoned mine, one forest, and set up camp there. and document what happens in every location and then compare notes. Measure everything you can possibly measure in every spot. But also bring a team of multidisciplinary approach. So you'd have a psychologist, you'd have an anthropologist, whatever you need, depending where you're at. And but I would start expanding it to a lot of different environments: underwater, underground, in caves. Compare the data in places where people are at with the data in places people are not. See if there's a difference. But the number one thing is I would stop working for free. Everybody would have to get paid a lot of money, so you could actually go out and and do this full time. So and with a lot of funding. But I would start thinking a lot bigger than we're thinking. Ghost hunting is passé, man. It's an antiquated way of doing things.
All right. And I think that's a good stance, but I mean, you can't afford to, the 40,000, 50,000 ghost hunters out there to each get $100,000 a year. How do you justify that?
No, well, you pick, you'd have to pick, whoever's going to, it has to be private source of funding, right? Because obviously the producers and TV affiliates failed. They don't want to pay us anyway, right? They're not, the funding's going to come from them. So it's from a private source. So wherever the private source is, they're going to determine who they want to be on that team. Now, I'm only saying that because I've been involved in discussion with that kind of project, and eventually, because of a lot of greed from a lot of people and a lot of other issues, it kind of fell apart. But so whoever the team gets picked, it would have to be, that's at the discretion of whoever's going to be putting up the money. Obviously, on any team, I want to be on it, but I can't tell you that, I'm necessarily the best person for the job. I don't know that. So that would have to be, obviously who pays the money, makes that kind of decision. But obviously, some protocols that need to be observed. It has to be, somebody that's sound of mind, not somebody that's running around screaming demons, no Zach Baggins type.
True. All right, Bryan, let's pull you in here for a second. All right. Sure. And I want to talk about with you ufology. Okay. And the reason why I want to talk to you about that is because it's a little bit different from what a lot of stuff you cover. But where do we have to get better? Where do we have to, and I'm saying not on the political side, okay, because there's a lot going on there, but for the regular researcher out there who is checking things out in the skies, who's taking reports of people who have had close encounters and or ET contact or abduction, where do you start? How do you clean it up to make it a little bit more distinguished?
First and foremost, you get a central database that's a full open database for anybody to contribute to, as well as to pull from and compare reports. The problem then becomes sifting through the data of fake reports. So that would have to be cleaned up itself, but we need a central location for reports, for video evidence, for physical evidence, and for all the other anything someone captures. That's one. Two, I think we need to set up, and of course it takes money, throughout the country, towers that are actually monitoring 24/7 sky, land, whatever, so people can observe and really review what's going on. The problem with this whole community also is money. When it gets to selling the money and selling the data and the information, and we need to eliminate that bureaucracy. I don't think there should be one group like MUFON handling it. I think it should be broken into almost like regions, and then annual, or actually quarterly conferences where everybody's comparing what they've done. Go back into the research, break it down, see any clicks and ticks and any correlations, and then send a team in there to that one area and look for that, what you've discovered. That's the best way to deal with it. And I would take that global, actually. I would, you should have these towers that are monitoring 24/7 throughout the world. So if Chile is the new hotspot, everybody should have full access to those towers and full access to the data that's being pulled down. You can real time, watch, observe, because the best thing that we do, and I've done, is my research, whenever we have live video or any type of audio, we just throw it up on YouTube. We can't monitor everything. I've seen videos that we've taken in photos thousands of times. I've blown them up on 90, 75-inch TV sets, and I still miss stuff. We need other people to get involved in it and not be afraid to let the general public get involved in it. If you're going to research, let everybody research, because you never know what someone's going to find.
Very true. William Pollan, we bring you in here, and I'm going to put you in probably the most uncomfortable position here, but, shift the khaki pants and you'll be just fine. All right. In regards to, in regards to, everything from consciousness to psychic ability, intuition, telepathy, so on and so forth. There are a lot of shenanigans that go on there. There's a lot of hoaxsters and hucksters who take advantage of people. How do you clean up that industry while still allowing for credible research to happen?
Well, you look at the scientific community. If a scientist makes false claims about a drug, an archaeological find, whatever, and those claims are found to be false by their peers, that person's career is done. They're kicked out. They're finished. In the paranormal fields, that does not happen. Hence, we have hoaxers, charlatans, liars who make a living at this, who are consistently able to make these false claims, who consistently are believed by individuals in the community. That has to stop. We all know in the political realm, there's a lot of fake news. There's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, invalid content. That is very prevalent in the paranormal fields. Whether you're talking ufology, cryptozoology, it runs the gamut. We need to eliminate that. We have a hard enough time trying to find valid data about any of these topics without having to swim past and eliminate all this false data, all these hoaxed cases, all these people that are giving testimony that are proven to be liars. If we can eliminate all the false data and get to a core of quality information, regardless of the topic, we'd be a lot further on than we are now. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But if we could do that and eliminate all the liars and charlatans, that would leave us with a core of quality information about all these topics. That's where we want to be, and that's essential. And I must second the ideas that everyone else brought up. A worldwide database, funding for researchers, involving other qualified individuals from outside this field, all great ideas, all logical ideas that should have been implemented decades ago. For some reason, they're not. There's no reason why we shouldn't do that, but hasn't happened yet. So all great ideas.
And with 5.5 minutes to go, guys, let's continue this discussion because, we can change the world in 5 minutes here. The entire paranormal world, we can change it. When you listen to each other speak, and I think we're all kind of on the same page, trying to find that continuity, that unity that every field needs. How do you get rid of the liars and the charlatans when people are so quick? I mean, whether we don't need to name names, we know who the players are. I mean, in ufology, you could think of Corey Goode. You could think of, in the psychic realm of, Madame Cleo and people like that. In the ghost hunters realm, there's been enough hoaxsters out there who have been, outed a number of times for faking evidence. How do you clean that up? How do you clean up this industry? And is this industry potentially setting up for its own set of rules and regulations? Is that possible? Alex?
I've lost hope. I don't think it's possible. I think, and if there is, to be honest, I can't answer your question. I have no idea at all.
Does that bother you?
Oh, it drives me crazy. What do you think I put up all those mad posts on Facebook? It's because it pisses me off, to no end. It really does. It drives me insane. And I don't know what to do about it, except to lash out, if I'm going to be really honest about it.
All right. Bryan, your thoughts?
I think it's virtually impossible to get rid of the people that are doing this. There's so many of them now that are it's all about paranormal celebrity and money. And everybody's trying to, people throw people under the bus. I've seen it. And it's all about getting fame and making that one statement, and they don't care if they crush. And I think you need to just start calling these people out and getting them out and just really hammering them, because it's doing a disservice to everybody. It's really a tough field. There's so many egos here, and everybody wants to be the next whatever. Zach Baggins have their own show. Everybody has a show now. Who cares? No. You know, we gotta just maybe take the money out of it somehow if you can.
All right, let's move over to William.
I don't have any hope as far as getting rid of these people. You have to hold them accountable. You have to call them out, but in a professional way. That way you don't look like you're really attacking them, which is a fine line to walk, but it's doable. And how do we get past this, I guess, on an individual basis? All we can do is hold ourselves accountable and hold ourselves to a very high standard of professionalism. We can't be amateurish. We have to be focused on our goals as a researcher, as a historian, as a field investigator, as an author, whatever the case may be. Hold our integrity very high as individuals, and perhaps as a group, as a community, we can move it forward. But eliminating liars and charlatans is very difficult to do.
Little Richie G, you got the final word.
And what was that final question?
Really?
Yeah, really. I'm sorry.
How would you clean up ufology?
Oh, that was still on that. Okay. I thought we already did all that. Yeah, that's right. I did Bigfoot. Sorry, I was conversing in the chat room. Final thought. How do we clean it up?
From all the charlatans and people trying to take advantage.
We just don't give them a voice. But they will give themselves a voice. And I heard somebody say everybody's got a show. Everybody does, it seems like. There's a couple of people out there who shouldn't have a show, but they have a huge following because of what they're saying. No evidence, no proof. That's what bothers me. We need to stop somehow. And I don't know if we can do it now in this culture. Stand up to them. You can't. I tried doing that years ago when people were mad. You know, doing it now, what do we do? How do you clean it up? It's just don't converse with them. Don't give them a voice. But then how do you know about them? Like there's new people coming in every day. They don't know that Secure Team 10 has this history. Sorry, but he does have a bad history and it's bad for ufology, but he puts up all these cool videos. Man, I don't care about ufology. Most people don't. How do you clean it up? I don't know. Been trying to do it for 15 years, Dave. You can't.
You just can't. Gentlemen, I want to say a big thank you for both of you coming on. Actually, all four of you coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. And, you know, we couldn't do a good show without guys like you coming on in and hanging on out and breaking down everything from the paranormal to the supernatural to everything in between. We do the Paranormal Roundtable near the end of each month here, where I bring in some friends and we debate and discuss the month that was. And you can always find out more information about what we do by going to spacedoutradio.com, checking out our website and following us on social media like Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, which is our newest one, on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. And of course, we are all over Facebook and YouTube as well. Thank you, Richie G, Alex Mistretta, William Pullin, and Bryan Bowden for a great show tonight. And thank you all for listening. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone participating in our chat rooms on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club on our website, and to all the snarkers and snarkettes on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You were absolutely stellar tonight with your snark. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Remember, everybody, the Woo train may be parked for the night, but we shall ride again. Your tickets never expire. Your seats are always available. And if you want to bring a friend, there's room for them too. Have a great night. Good night. That's a good show, everybody. Good, solid show right there. Give yourselves a clap. Good job, everyone.
You're welcome.
High quality facial hair during this show, even though Rich has been shaving lately. Don't really agree with that. But, you know.
It itches.
Well,
Shave
Better
your
than
chin.
that.
you got to fight.
And it's 108 degrees.
You got to fight through that itch, man. You got to fight through that.
Nah, at this age, I don't want to fight through anything anymore.
Oh my
I'm going to
God.
be 74 next year.
You're like an Air Supply song.
Oh, wow.
How's that?
Nobody likes to admit they listen to it.
Oh.
That's me.
A lot of love.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it. Loving every minute of it.
Little lover boy. Good call.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice.
Ouch.
Little REO Speedwagon. Rich is like a little REO Speedwagon because he just can't fight this feeling anymore.
Oh,
Oh.
feeling anymore.
Oh, yeah. Did you guys see that post I put up? I can't believe how many people have replied to it. You know, it's a picture of this guy screaming, and it said, name a singer or band that makes you immediately change the station.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Saw that.
I could add about another 20. I forgot to add Dave Matthews Band on there. I am so sick of that.
Yep.
Oh, I'm with you on that one. Can't stand him.
Oh, my God.
What would you say?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
You know, I got you there. I
I'm
see
not
where
an
you went
Axl
with
Rose
that.
guy, though. Yeah, see, I
What?
mean,
What?
I can appreciate music from Guns N' Roses. But
What?
can't
We
take
can't
the
hear
Axl
you
Rose.
right now, Brian. We can't hear you right now.
What did he say?
Exactly.
I think he said Axl Rose was just the greatest fucking lead singer next to Freddie Mercury ever.
He sounds like
Oh,
a
my God.
He is.
He
He
sounds like
is.
a bitch and eat.
He is. Totally.
Wow.
Oh,
Totally.
God.
You know?
Find Incountables, huh? There you go.
Oh, that's
Oh,
terrible.
no.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Let's debate. Let's debate. Oh. Like, no, my house. And remember the video, those idiots where they'd be like hunched over, they'd do like a double jump? Oh, that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you.
Anything Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, yes. Good call. Good call.
Seriously.
No, I fully agree. I totally agree.
I haven't listened to the radio in probably since 2006 when I got Sirius Satellite.
Yeah.
Ah,
Either
So
way,
I just
Cyndi Lauper's there
talk
as
radio.
well.
are you a yacht rock guy?
A what?
What?
Yacht rock. Yacht rock is a station on one of those things, Sirius or XM, and
Yacht
it's just, yeah, look it up. It's for some reason it's really really big, but it's kind of like it's just a bad scene. It's a
Wait, is it like Metallica and like?
no. It's I don't know. Just think of like people in bright plaid pants out in like Newport Beach drinking mimosas, and that's basically what it is.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's not rock and roll,
Yeah, that
man.
does sound
That's not rock
that's
and
not
roll.
No.
No.
No. Not at all.
Yeah.
No.
yacht and roll.
Oh, who's that?
Yeah.
Up here, we have this radio station called Rock 101 in Vancouver. And this one DJ, his name's Robin LaRose. I don't know if he's there anymore. He used to be. But he had the biggest addiction to Steely Dan. Like, how much Steely Dan can you play in one day? You know?
Not much. Oh God. I mean, I could.
I can't think of a Steely Dan song.
That's because they're
Reel
all
in the
bad. They're all bad.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Oh, yeah.
not my cup of tea.
It's like listening. It's like listening to Tracy Guns from L.A. Guns whine about Jane all the time.
Yeah,
you know, just because you screwed things up with Axl and you couldn't keep up. By the way, Tracy Guns is the Guns in Guns N' Roses. A little bit of GNR history there.
Oh,
yeah.
How many of you knew that?
I couldn't.
How many of you knew that?
I didn't. I gotta admit,
I did not.
Yeah.
And I was in a couple of metal bands, but something that's very interesting. It's really worth looking. Go on YouTube and look up Vince Neil singing, and he's singing he's not even singing. He's like, that's
pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome.
God.
You know what?
You can even breathe anymore. He's so big.
You know, I think the most the one time I have always agreed with South Park is when they do the episode in Afghanistan where they're trying to save Stevie Nicks, and it's a goat because she sounds like a goat.
That's right.
Anything Stevie Nicks has to go away.
That's great.
Christine McVie had a good voice anyhow.
Don't get it.
Oh man,
don't get it.
My favorite South Park was Red Sled Down. They did the whole thing where they got Santa Claus locked up like in Three Kings, and they put the charger on his nuts. You're gonna put those on Santa's jingle bells. It was great.
Oh yeah.
What's his Michael Jackson? Great scene.
I know William's going to go because his favorite song is I'm Your Venus. I'm your fire. What's your desire?
She scratched out already. Yeah. But no, I do need to go, gentlemen. I got lessons in the morning. So,
yeah.
Gentlemen, I really enjoyed it. Great stuff. Good thoughts. You guys be safe.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You guys
that's what happens
Take
when.
care, gentlemen.
Yeah, he's not going to teach tennis tomorrow. He's not going to teach tennis. He's in Louvre.
No, God, no.
He's in Louvre.
Check out Facebook. I am.
He's in
Louvre.
Louvre.
The rest of the day was hers. So.
He's in Louvre. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's go teach some tennis, honey. Oh yeah, I've seen it.
How about the strokes, man? Come on.
Oh yeah, I've seen it all.
Tennis too.
Oh, seen it all.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Ignore Dave.
When a woman is 12 years younger than you are, then you gotta do what you gotta do. So
whatever you do.
Well, there are benefits.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
True. Very true.
All right, Will. Thank you so much.
You have a good night, man.
You have a great day too, buddy.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Good night, man.
Take care.
Take care.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Later.
It's all right. I guess I'm probably the only one on the East Coast, huh? So.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's 3 or 6 in the morning, and they've been doing construction outside my house the entire time.
Are you kidding me?
That's awesome.
I swear to God. They've been doing
unbelievable.
construction the same road for 15 years.
I believe it. I love that.
It's just insane.
We have the same thing here.
Oh, they're grinding because I'm right next to a bridge, and they're grinding the road, and you get this guy, Frank, you want coffee? I'm like, tell Frank, shut the fuck up.
Oh man,
shut up.
Oh,
you want decaf?
You want decaf? Yeah, like, okay, I got it. You guys are up. I'm not.
That's funny.
That is so New York.
It is, isn't it?
100% New York.
I have never been to New
just
York.
Stop lighting fireworks.
I want to go there so
Dave,
bad to experience that.
When you fly in,
I want to get yelled at by a cab driver.
Oh, that's easy.
you wouldn't understand what he said.
I know. That's why I want that thick New York accent, coming through.
No, you won't get that. You won't get that because all our cab drivers are from like the Middle East. So you'll get, who you're being fucking asshole. That's who you're being. That's what we get.
That's it.
Well, either way, okay. And God bless them for having to drive those streets because I don't know if I could or have the patience for it. But either way, I want a New Yorker to yell at me just so I could hear the accent. And then I'm gonna go give him a big hug and say thank you for making my trip to New York a memorable one.
I actually did that. I was in New Jersey, though. I came off a yield. There was plenty of space in front. The woman's right behind me. And I stopped the car. I'm like, what the fuck's your problem? I did. I went New Yorker on her. Sorry for cursing, but
That's
went
what
New
they
Yorker.
say. Everything's what's your problem.
Really?
And she was like scared out of her mind. Put her mask on. In the
I am
car.
so naive about this whole East Coast New York thing.
Hey, you're welcome anytime, Dave.
I
Take
know.
you wherever you want to go.
Well, being a Yankee fan, I want to get to Yankee Stadium.
We can get you there. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
We'll get you. Well, if they start playing baseball again, they allow people in there.
I can't wait for
Not this
baseball
year.
again. I miss baseball. Okay, like as much as I'm a hockey guy, okay, I love baseball. Baseball is just
See, I didn't think you would like it because you hate soccer.
Well, that's because soccer's not a sport, though.
Better shape than a baseball player.
That's fine, but it's still not a sport. That's why they call it the beautiful game, because even FIFA could admit it's not a sport.
Baseball isn't a sport.
Yes, it is.
Ooh, I caught a ball. Great. Oh, I swung a bat, hit a little ball. Great. I played baseball for a long time. It's not that hard.
Baseball's a beautiful game. It's a thinking.
I never once broke a sweat. You only know when I broke a sweat in extra innings. That's when I broke a sweat.
Extra innings.
You bro.
How long ago was that? They don't never go with extra innings.
The only time
In Arizona, growing up, we didn't have a stadium and anything.
The only time Rich almost broke a sweat on the ball diamond in Little League was when he had to go poo, and he couldn't. He had to sit it out another 4 innings in order to keep himself safe.
No, I was a professional. I held it.
That's what I'm saying. You still had the sweats though from it.
No.
You don't support the Diamondbacks at all, or?
Oh yeah, I do hugely.
Yeah, my brother's one of his good friends. He's the head of the PR guys over the Diamondbacks.
Wow, cool.
Yeah,
I love the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I'm Dave's gonna kill me. I born and raised in the Bronx, and when I watch baseball, I was actually a Red Sox fan.
Oh, you sick bastard!
How does that happen?
You sick
how does
bastard.
Isn't that illegal? Isn't that illegal in New York?
It should be.
It is.
It should be.
Well, it was when
right.
Gaz was there and Zimmer and all those things. And it's funny because my father's uncle, who we thoroughly believe worked for Bugsy Siegel, was very good friends with Babe Ruth. Gave him a ball signed by Murderers Row when he was a kid, and his dog ate it. I would have killed the dog, and I love dogs. But yeah, Babe Ruth guy. Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, don't even talk. Yeah, I mean, you just everything you said tonight is not worth shit now because of that comment.
I thought I knew you.
Look, I do like the Yankees. I'm not denying it. But it was my Red Sox phase many moons ago. I'm a hockey guy. That's it. So
damn Rangers.
And I'm a Ranger fan. I'll be born and raised and die a Ranger.
Goddamn Ranger bastards.
Who's your favorite player? Mine's Esposito. Who's yours?
Actually, I like Richter.
Oh, Mile Richter's phenomenal. Yeah, that's a good one.
I've met Mike many times. He's a really nice guy. I think Hank's a great guy, but he doesn't have the team around him, and they need to get him off to get that money back. But
Richter's phenomenal.
Oh,
God, he was good.
Such a small guy. He's really small.
Is he?
Yeah,
Really?
Hell of a guitar player,
I'm
though.
I'm 6'1", yeah, but he's a small guy.
Wow, he's so good for small.
He's really good. I mean, I don't know how he did what he did, but he's good.
Good anticipation. Yeah, you can see the puck. He's one of those.
No, he's a hell
Slows
of a
the game
goaltender.
down.
Wasn't for the Oilers, we wouldn't have had a cup. So, thanks to the Oilers.
A guy, I used to be a hockey instructor, okay? Like before I went into radio. And previous to 94, the last time the Rangers had won the Stanley Cup was in 1944.
Yeah.
And my friend's dad played on that team.
Wow. No way.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Alex Shabicki was his name.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
God, what a small world.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
Wow. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
be on a team. I used to work with a guy. His name's Chuck Mercine. He played for Vince Lombardi, and he was in the Ice Bowl. He played for the Giants too. He has a Super Bowl ring. Used to work with him on a trading floor. One of the nicest guys on the planet. Would sign anything, would do anything for you, but if he saw you try to sell it, he'd kill you. But it's the coolest thing when you actually see a real Super Bowl ring, and that's amazing.
I've got to try on a Stanley Cup ring.
You did?
Oh
Wow.
yeah, from
How heavy are they?
they're heavy. They're heavy. And it was actually the newer ones are much heavier. This was an older one, and it was the ring was from the pocket rocket Henri Richard of Montreal Canadiens fame.
Oh,
He won 11 Stanley Cups in his 16-year career.
Wow.
that's unreal.
Yeah, and I was at a golf
Brady, yeah.
I was at a golf tournament with him. And he was outside with another former Habs player, and they were having a cigarette, and they couldn't find the lighter, and I just happened to walk up with the lighter, and you know, and there he was, and we just started talking, and I said, that is a beautiful ring, and he looks at me, he goes, you want to try it on?
Wow.
Yeah, like how do you say no? How do you say no to the pocket rocket? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when a Hall of Famer tells you, you have to do it. You have no choice,
Yes.
right? So I did.
Wow.
Yeah, I've touched.
That's cool.
Did it fit?
No. Hockey players are weird because because they work with their hands all the time. Their hands are very large and thick. You know, there's not a lot of hockey players out there with petite hands. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yet they're
That makes sense.
but when you shake their hands are as soft as baby skin.
Yeah.
Right?
They take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool,
That's
actually.
their bread and butter.
Yeah, it's
unreal,
kind of
huh?
cool.
Forget about it.
You know, I got to meet a lot of cool people, man. You know, back in my radio days, and I will say this: the worst athletes I had to deal with were baseball players. Horrible.
But they got to talk 162 games a year.
You know what? And I agree with you on that. But when you are getting paid $10-12 million a year, it comes with the territory. It comes with the territory.
I know.
And
But, you know, it's hard when you're young. It's hard to control that testosterone sometimes, you know?
Ego-wise, now that's attitude towards the media. And you get a lot of players, you know, when you see players who will just sit there and sign autographs for hours for kids, I love watching. That's one of the things about baseball. The worst athletes with egos, basketball players. Basketball players were horrible to deal with on a media standpoint. They didn't like you don't like them, and you know, I remember staring up the nostrils of Big Country Reeves when he was playing for the Vancouver Grizzlies, and you know, I mean, you could tell he's just talking through his ass, not wanting to give a quote as to why he's gained all this weight, you know, and just signed a $66 million contract, which was a huge contract back then in those NBA days. You know, and that, I mean, now we're in, you know, 100 million, 200 million contracts.
Yeah.
But back then, a $66 million contract was massive, you know. And now he's farming somewhere in Kentucky or somewhere like that. But
That's still massive.
But you know, I was talking to a player agent one time, and we were talking about the idea that, you know, 47% of all NBA players are broke within or within the first 5 years of retirement in the NBA from the NBA. And
that's sad.
It is sad. It's very sad. And the problem is that these young players, a lot of them have not grown up due to their backgrounds. Okay, a lot of them have not grown up with a lot of experience with having a large amount of money, and and the team doesn't care, because the team just like, I'll get what I can out of you, right? And that's the truth of it.
Yep.
I mean, you are a highly paid investment, but they don't tell you how to invest your money. And the NBA is getting better with that. So is the NFL. But for the longest time there, they were. I mean, when a player got paid, they would have to take care of their parents, their friends. I mean, right. Shaquille O'Neal tells an incredible story how his first contract he got $140,000 signing bonus, or no, pardon me, $600,000 signing bonus. Pardon me, wrong. $1 million signing bonus. Then he got hit with taxes because he thought he had $1 million.
Yep.
And then he got hit with taxes, goes out and buys himself a Mercedes, and then he brings it home, and his mom says, well, I need one too. So then he goes back out to buy that one, and then dad gets home, and dad now wants one. And so he had to buy 3 Mercedes at like $180,000 a piece. And by the time he was done, his credit card got rejected.
Yep.
And he's like, well, I have $1 million in my bank account. And then his agent called and said, oh, what are you doing? Right? And that's how he learned the power of the dollar. But for a lot of these players, they have to take care of their friends. Like, dude, you'd go to an NBA game behind the scenes, like underneath by the bleachers and everything. And each player has their own posse. And each one of those members of the posse is wearing like a $20,000, $25,000 Rolex. They're wearing, very rich clothes that I couldn't afford, and it's like they all sit there and they all fly with the team. They fly the posses from town to town to town. So basically, you may not have a job, but you're getting paid $50,000 a year to literally go keep this player safe because you grew up with them in your neighborhood or wherever. And that's how it works. Yep. Right?
Well, they always said, if I make a lot of money, you boys are coming with me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've said that. You've said that.
And some right? Absolutely. Because you want to share the wealth. But, yeah. But like with the basketball players, and even not as many for football players, but especially the basketball players, a lot of them come from poverty, and they want to take their friends with them and give them that lifestyle because those are the only people that they truly trust. And for a lot of people, like for instance, when Allen Iverson was playing, his posse was actually, a couple of members were actually paid by the team to keep him safe and out of trouble. Right?
Yeah, they do that because they know that these guys, they go back to the old neighborhood like Marcus Camby did, and they get busted with drugs or whatever. It's a shame.
There should be a business. If there isn't, there should be, and I don't know about it, where you have guys that you can hire that can teach you how to, I don't know, maybe the NBA. And
they have that now. They have that now.
They give you like an accountant type of guy who can teach you how to spend your money.
Yeah, they now have that to try and help these players out, because the average basketball career, I believe, is just over 4 years. It's like 4.1 years, right. And then on the NFL is the worst. I think they're at 3 years, 11 months.
Three.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 to 4 years now.
Yeah, right. Baseball, I believe, is in that 3 to 4 year range. Hockey had the highest range, which was a 5-year career.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I think hockey players just get beat up even worse than anybody.
Yeah.
Even more so than the football guys.
Because it's constant, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty friendly with Daryl Dawkins, and one of my good friends was very, very good friends with Dawkins, and he used to come up and used to visit us in summer camp or whatever, and he's coming up with like plates of gold on his chest and Muhammad Ali's old car, and he's giving away pony sneakers like they're going out of style. And in the end of his career, he had nothing. He and what happens is that his whole entire family, his mother and whatever, when they start losing all this money, everybody gets depressed. I mean, a lot of these guys have people that killed themselves afterwards because they don't have any money.
Wow.
And daughters. I mean, it's just a shit show. Not as bad as that. You ever see that wrestling video when you see Tony Atlas is doing heroin and stuff? I mean, it's just like, yeah, Tony Atlas, and he's living in like a halfway house, and he's addicted to like heroin. It's just.
Oh my God.
They're just tools, and they're being used by all the really wealthy people, and they don't give a shit. They just fill the stands, and play. Next.
I think the athletes know that now in this day and age. I think they know it's all about money, and they want theirs, and they know they're going to get theirs. And
they have better contracts now. I mean, when they sign, that if you got a good agent, he's signing you, and this, you're getting paid whether you break your leg 2 seconds into the game or not. And if they want you and you're that good, you're going to get it. They'll get you deals like if you're like a Magic Johnson, you get paid so much money that they can't even pay you, so they start giving you percentage of the actual franchise because it's the only way they can compensate you. Out of the whole whatever. It's sick. It's really Hence, what's the donut place up there, right? Tim Hortons. You got to go into those businesses. You got to start a coffee house or something.
All right. Yeah, you do. Longevity.
Yep. There's not much longevity in many people today.
No, there isn't.
It's it's a sad state of affairs.
You guys chat. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's I mean, don't get me wrong. I have no sympathy for people that are paid that kind of money to play a game for a living. I think it's fantastic if you can, but be smart about it.
Right.
Well, it's like all those lottery winners, right? So back in the day when $5 million was a lot of money, which is really not now. You got a guy that wins $5 million lottery, which is almost equivalent to $20 million.
Right.
And within like the first 3 years, he's broke. Because he's spending, everybody comes out of the woodwork. Oh, Richie's here. Richie's going to be buying, and you start buying stuff, and then you go home and you're like, I got no more money left.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
look at Mike Tyson. He lost like $100 million.
Yeah. More.
I told my wife, I told everybody, I said, if I ever hit the lottery, you'd never know it was me.
Right.
And
yeah, me
I wouldn't
too.
tell a word. And my wife was like, you wouldn't tell me? I'm like, hell no, I wouldn't tell you.
You wouldn't tell your wife?
No, I would not.
That's amazing.
Money causes a lot of problems with people.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So
That's smart then.
The best, well, first of all, you'd see me collecting it in poor sunglasses and a turban. And and if I did tell my wife at the time, like, put the burqa on because we're not showing your face. He doesn't look Arabic, but the minute people, no matter how much you're in love with somebody or whatever, they know that you're worth X. They know now that, okay, if I divorce that person, I'm worth 50% of that.
Jesus.
And it causes a problem. You're better off saying, look, got some money. I opened these trust funds. It's protected. When you sign a lottery ticket, the best way to do it, if you want a Mega Millions, $100 million, you want to open up 5 trust funds, label them whatever the hell they are, and you want 5 trust funds signing that ticket and yourself. So you're going to get 1/6 of it, even though you're getting all of it, and you're going to blow only 1/6 of that, and the rest is going to go in a trust fund or whatever it is, and it's going to filter out to you, and you'll have it forever.
Wow.
Yeah, it's different ways to dealing with money. Because I worked in finance most of my career, and it's like I've worked on deals. I worked on the Google deal. The IPO for that, and I try to get, like, I was screaming on my trading floor, fire me now, because I lined up $6 million. I had a direct line to the trader. I was going to buy $6 million worth of Google and be able to, whatever.
Yeah.
But I actually made the deal go through. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
So I was like, damn it. But I wasn't paid like the big boys,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's money. Money causes way too many problems with way too many people.
Huge problems. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got young, they're not super young, but they think it grows on freaking trees. Like I need a MacBook Pro. I'm like, well, that's great because I need a Lamborghini, but we're not either. But that's why I don't have sympathy for these guys. $100 million and you're playing baseball, or
Right.
And I don't think A-Rod was worth any of that money.
No, he sucked for that.
No, Derek Jeter was a much better player than A-Rod was.
Way better player.
And
night and day.
I mean, and they were good for A-Rod sucked. A-Rod came to the Yankees and he did nothing.
Nothing.
It's a waste of space. It's just like in hockey when you get those good players, like you get somebody and who's the guy we had that we just traded? I forgot who he was. He was this. He's going to score all these goals. It was like Jabba the Hutt on ice skates. It was sucked.
God,
Keith
what
Primo.
Are you doing?
Keith Primo.
No, you know who he is. Jesus, I forgot. He was like Jabba the Hutt. He was on Blue Jackets, I believe. I can't remember his name.
Pat Falloon.
Shit.
No, it wasn't Pat Falloon. It was who else had Lindros? We got him when he had after his 90th concussion.
Yeah.
The guy,
Yeah.
if someone spit on Lindros's head, he'd have a concussion.
Yeah.
And we're paying him $50 million.
I partied with him before he entered the NHL.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. He was a good guy. Good guy. Met him, and then I interviewed him 15 years later. I interviewed him, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I totally remember that night." He goes, "How you been doing?"
Wow.
Oh yeah, no, he was a good guy.
Yeah,
Lindros was a good guy.
I mean, he was definitely a good player, but he just got hurt too much. I mean,
wasn't he a forward enforcer type of guy?
No, he had it all. He was the consummate
Eric Lindros, right?
Yeah,
Eric
consummate
Lindros.
hockey player. Consummate hockey.
I
player.
know, but what was his role though?
Oh, he was a scorer.
He was everything.
He was everything. He was.
He wasn't a defenseman though.
No.
He was a forward, right?
Yeah.
A big guy.
Yeah, he was one of
Skill guy.
I
Yeah,
remember
he was-
this guy. Yeah. Okay.
when he came into the league. He was the start of those ginormous players.
Okay.
The ones that were really tall, really big, broad, and can do their thing.
Yeah.
And that's when it started. Before it was a lot of smaller guys, but this guy came out and he had potential.
Keith Kachuk. He was one of those guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I will tell you this: in hockey,
Jeremy Roenick.
it broke down like this. The Russians and the Czechs were horrible to deal with. Horrible. The Swedes and the Swedes were amazing to deal with. The Finns were weird, just weird people. The Finns, and I mean that with all due respect. And then you got to the American players. Okay, so the American guys who came up through the collegiate system, fantastic to deal with. Fantastic, great guys. I mean, you had, but the American players who came through the Canadian junior system, who came up here to play junior, they were all assholes. And then it went province to province. So if you had a player from the Maritimes in Canada, they were great. Quebecois, if there was a player, it was great. If they were a goaltender, weird as fuck. Weird as fuck. Okay.
That's in every sport, though.
Oh, yeah.
All goaltenders are weird.
Oh, yeah. Ontario players, for the most part, were jerks. The prairie provinces, so Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta players, nicest people you could ever meet. British Columbia, it was weird because if they were born in the Lower Mainland, which is where Vancouver is, they were arrogant and just jerks. But if they were born in any other part of the province, great dudes. Great dudes. So it was always interesting to see how it broke down. And when I was reporting, you had to kind of break that down in order to try and get that information, right? that you needed and get close to some of these guys where they talk to you. But I mean, I remember going into the Roxy one night after a hockey game, and Keith Carney was a Canuck for, he got here at the trade deadline one year, and the next year he signed with Minnesota. And I walk into the Roxy, and he's there with like 4 other Minnesota Wild players, and I couldn't believe he remembered my name. He's like, "Hey, Dave, how you doing?" And I look at him and, "Oh, hey, Keith," and it was just like, he's like, come join us. So like 4 of us came, went over and joined them, and it was a great time, and that's just kind of the way it went, and it was weird with hockey, how that broke down. But goaltenders were weird. Goaltenders were really weird. I mean, they're, I don't even know how to explain them. Goaltenders are just, they're off. They're off.
They're not as weird. They're not as weird as team handball goalies. Those are the weirdest people on the planet. Trust me.
Aren't they? They're quirky, right? I
played team handball for a couple of years for Chicago. And every goalie is just like the weirdest fucking person you could possibly ever meet.
Oh yeah.
Like just not right in the head. It was like the most bizarre.
No. You got, if like in hockey, and I don't know about handball, but I know in hockey, if you think it's fun to stand in front of 100-mile-an-hour slap shot, and I mean,
yeah,
you don't feel it,
but it's just weird.
Gents, I got a jet. It's 3, almost 4 in the morning, so I'm going to get yelled at by kids in about an hour. Thank you very much.
No problem, buddy.
Take care.
Appreciate you coming on.
Take care.
Thanks, Bryan.
Oh, anytime. You got it. Bye.
Good night, man.
He brings the woo. He brings some serious woo.
And over 8,000 podcasts.
8,000 podcasts. Honestly, no, he has like 4 of them, and that's why I bug him about it, right?
So we could talk about different topics, right?
I think they're all pretty much the same topics, just different names. But I mean, you know what? It's something that he enjoys doing, and he's got a killer radio voice. So I don't blame him for that. That's pretty good. No, he's pretty good that way. Pretty good. So anyways, you guys hold on a second. YouTube, we are done for the night. I got to get ready for work in the morning, so that means I got to head off to bed. But I want to say thank you for joining us on the round table, and I am in talks with doing a few more things on our YouTube channel here very, very soon. And also, we're going to be, I can't tip you off just yet, but we are going to be adding some what we call exclusive content here, probably in the next couple of weeks, to our SOR Space Travelers Club. Now, for $5 a month, you can get into that, and it's something that you're going to be able to enjoy. It's going to be video features on there, so I really hope you take the time to check that out. I will keep you in touch with what's going on, but yeah, we got a few things that we're going to be doing here to improve things. So stay tuned. And when I get that up, I think you're really going to enjoy it, because we're going to be adding more features on there on a weekly basis. So much love to all of you. I will be back on Monday night with Butch Witkowski, and we're going to have ourselves a great night talking all things cryptid and weird. And much love. All of you be safe. Don't forget Michael W. Hall on Sunday night. Tomorrow night is a night off. It will replay this show. And thank you for tuning us in, giving us the support and love. We much really appreciate it. Don't forget to follow our brand new Instagram account at Spaced Out Radio Show. We'd greatly appreciate that. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do. Jocko, thank you for the super chat tonight. Really do appreciate that. Much